Can't with y'all, man.
Uh,
Well, all right, man. It's another edition of Free Game. Thank everybody for coming out. Today we're talking about good to great. How you go from good to great, breaking through glass ceilings and barriers and limitation, things of that nature. I'm dropping some info in the chat right now. All of the questions will be coming via the chat. So if you got a question, go ahead and ask that in the chat. We'll get it curated. We'll unmute your mic and get you to open your camera up and you can ask your question. We'll start real quick. And I know we got a few questions that were asked in advance too. So we'll start with those, but we'll start with like a brief intro from our panelists and the homies that we got on the call, and then we'll roll from there. And I know none of y'all are quick to talk.
Oh, well, I'll start.
I was saying we can go with Dre since we missed him 2 weeks ago.
Wait, well, I had to mute real quick. My son just ran in here. Like, look, there was a moment right there. Look, we call that terrible 3.5. Hey, Dre Hayes.
Threatening threes, man.
Threatening threes. Okay, that's what we call it. I'm Dre Hayes, one of the co-founders of the foundation. Missed last week. I heard I missed a great one. I'm so sick I wasn't able to make that one, but I'm back. 3 inches shorter on the beard. I'm here.
Hey, man, the record. Tap in. So feel free to tap in if you were like Dre missed 2 weeks ago. Go ahead, tap in on YouTube, all YouTube channels for the Whitaker group. Go for it, Pell.
I'm Pell. I'm the creative director for the foundation, and I'm happy to be here.
Big Ari.
Ari Langsdorff, co-founder of the foundation, and thanks for having me.
No doubt. Is Big Bruh listening or is he multitasking?
Bruh, co-founder of the foundation, ex-stuntman.
This dude got a new title every week.
Every time.
Every time. James Whitner, headache holder. Person who handles all the headaches.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt. My name is David Butler. I handle community work for the Whitaker group. And then we have Sharifa Murdoch that'll be joining us here shortly, who is a co-founder of Liberty Fairs and also the founder of Envision Fest. Thank you guys for coming out. And we're gonna start. I know previously the first person that was supposed to get in here was Darius, so we're gonna go ahead and get him in here and have him get us kicked off.
Very quickly, the 3 people, two people reached out to me on LinkedIn, and Darius reached out to me on social media. So we taking them first. We told them we would take them in front of Free Game because I told them I was wiser when my smarter homeboys was around me. So I figured it would be a good idea to use the platform to get them as much advice as possible. Darius, where you at?
I'm here. You guys can hear me?
Yeah, what up, bro?
Yes, sir.
Good. How you guys doing?
Man,
Doing good,
How
man.
are you?
Bless.
Good. I always appreciate you guys for doing this. So I'm looking to open up a multi-fashion concept store in Charlotte. And I'm targeting new and emerging brands. And I'm with my team, AJ and Hassan. If you guys want to unmute them, they're gonna help me manage the store as well. And pretty much I just had questions following up to a successful launch. And I'm thinking November 13th. So about 4 months away. But the first question I had was, what's the best course of action pre-opening within these like 4 months?
Oh goodness, that's a big ass. That's
yeah. And I'm okay with a soft opening, like starting small and expanding.
Well, you don't know what you don't know until you know, right? Like,
right.
Like I could sit and ask you everything under the sun, right? Like but we're talking about Charlotte and we know it intimately. So I think if you're open in November, the first thing I'd be thinking about is COVID, right?
Okay.
And how your launch looks in the COVID world. B, is getting the word out, community messaging. C, is it vertical or vendor? You just said it's new and upcoming brands. So if you get new and upcoming brands, can you get product in on time that matters? And then C, can you connect the dots between the three? What's the social media platform? What are the other things that make sense? Social media, web is going to be important. Yeah, that's all the boxes I'm checking.
Okay.
Do you all, and that's not even taking all the backside logistics, backside business license, backside built out, taking all those things out of it, right? Like that's all. Those are completely different conversations.
James, can I ask you a question as a man that's
Go
opened
for it.
a lot of stores?
Yes.
This is to play on Darius's question. James, when you normally go into a new city and you open a store, do you start with the date you want to open, or do you do all the things that you just talked about?
I do all the things I just talked
Permits,
about.
the building, the product buy, the da.
Man,
and then when all that's together,
getting hung up on a date is good call out, Ari. The first, I think the first, if there's a mistake, if you said any, getting a date locked in your head, that would be one, because right now I just looked down with an email, and I'll show you what the email screen so you can see what it is.
Okay.
You can't see my screen. Can you see that?
yeah,
It says City of Plant. It says Department of City Planning, Atlanta. I thought I was going to break ground on this building in February. Then COVID happened. That was March. Then April, then May, then June. And COVID's still happening. And then COVID didn't shut down the city. And then it was a domino effect for something that was done became undone, if that makes sense. So the when you're starting, it depends. It also depends what excellence looks like to you, or what complete looks like to you, and if you're how you're willing to go. Yeah, how you're willing to go. I would say don't be willing to go until you're completely ready, but some other things might start pushing you, meaning you got to pay bills, or the lease payments start coming due, which may force you to have to open sooner than what you may like to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So you got to ask yourself what's important. Did you give yourself enough room to breathe in a lease? Do you got a landlord that's willing to work with you if you can't get open? Do you have vendors that can get you product on time? All the other things that I said before that already told me to back out of those.
Okay. So far, we've created a concept. We have a location. We have a mood board for the build out, and we got with a contractor that can help us out do the build out, and we have a list of brands, but that's pretty much it for right now. And we have a low budget, and we're looking to get more funding as well. So let me go back to.
So Darius,
Yes.
you can, Dre, bruh, myself, we worked with a lot of retailers over a lot of years that come to us and say, hey man, I'm opening a store in February. I want to buy now in whatever, in July, but I'm definitely going to have this door in February. And seasoned and unseasoned about 98% of the time, that date comes and goes without that door being open for a litany of reasons, a lot of which James said, a permit gets pushed out, there's a rise in COVID again, and everyone's got to stay at home. Like there's so many things, but the added thing you have going on right now, and the retailers on here can speak better to this than I can, it's hard to get product right now.
Yeah.
And brands you want to get product from, because just like COVID messed things up for retailers, it messed things up for the guys that make clothes too. So, mood board and all that, like you really got to have all those fundamentals like flushed, and then get with your contractor, see what their timeline is. Then your landlord, and make sure that those timelines work out. And once those two connect, then you can bank that whatever the contractor is telling you, he's not going to hit those dates and gates, or she's not going to hit those dates.
Yeah,
and gates.
or do you even know if you got budget to meet your mood board? And then once you know you do have budget to meet your mood board, do you still have budget to bring in the product you need to bring in?
Right.
The beginning's tough, man. It's a lot of credit cards and back to the wall kind of stuff. And you can plan, and as you should, as well as you can. But you got to have something extra so you can pivot. You got to have a little bit, you know, whatever your budget is, you either need 30% more, you got to hold 30%, because like James is saying, like things are going to happen that you never thought would happen. And you know, Dre and Bro and I can talk about this. First few years we were in business, the world ended. We certainly weren't ready for that. So, you know, without humbly, I would just get every single fundamental down and ready and really understand the financial side before I worried about my date. You know, before I even socialized that I'm coming to the city, I would make sure that I'm actually prepared to come to the city. You know, it's different for James to announce he's coming to New York or something because like he has the means no matter what and the will to, and the experience to get it done when you're just starting.
And the most important part, the reputation and partnerships.
Correct.
Right.
And when he's talking about partnerships, he's not just talking about brands and people. He's talking about real estate agents and construction guys and people in this, you know,
architects and planners and people who are willing to put me first to get those things to happen.
When you're shoestringing it, you don't necessarily, you know, get those same benefits. James didn't have those benefits at the beginning the way he does now. So, you know, really flush your plan out, flush your board out, flush your budget out, raise your capital, get all those things right. I got to imagine real estate in retail environments is going to get cheaper right now. You know, I got to imagine there's things going on in the world that like might work to your favor, but you really got to have your thing completely flushed out before you socialize or pick dates. That's my humble opinion as not being a retailer.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that. I mean, coming up with your budget and all that stuff, that's great. But I think that even before that, you got to understand what's your MVP, what's your minimal value proposition that you're offering to your customer. Have you even tested your market to know that your customer cares about that, especially right now, it's so tumultuous. So if you can test in any way online or do a pop-up or something like that, because you're talking about getting into a real estate, into a space in a time where people are not really going into spaces. So I would test first before I do an entire build out or even, because time is money too. Right. Putting your time into trying to figure out these things, you could be putting your money into try to figure out how to test. Because also you're talking about up and coming brands. Well, you don't know what their distribution, supply chain, or any of that stuff is.
And let me jump in real fast, in Darius, there's one other 90-pound gorilla in the room. You realize what it is?
If it's not COVID,
it's social status.
Oh yeah.
We get hit by every new brand under the sun. And those brands will wait for us to say yes before they go somewhere else to, even if we say it's okay, we'll say, hey, we're going to wait this season. We're at capacity. We're at capacity for whatever reason. It's dope. You should sell Darius and those guys up and coming dope store. Some guys will say, okay. Other guys will say, we'd rather wait. Or can we start with APB? Or can we start in another city? Does that make sense? So you got to make sure your brand proposition and what you put together is strong enough to not live in our shadow. Does that make sense?
It does.
And obviously we won't do anything to hurt you, but the mere fact that we exist in a marketplace can inadvertently hurt you if you're not prepared to play on a bigger playing field. Does that make sense?
It does. So a lot of the brands that I was looking at, it's kind of like small, like household names. They're
was there someone else you wanted to let into this conversation? You asked at the top of it. We didn't let them in.
Yes. One is Hassan, the other one is AJ. Let me see if they're still in here.
Man, they supposed to be at your hip right now.
Yeah. I'm out here in Los Angeles. They're both in Charlotte right now. Let's see.
Oh, well keep going.
We've been here.
I just wanted to make sure. There they go.
We've been here. We've been listening.
Okay, cool.
This is
Hassan.
Yo. I'm in here too. I'm AJ. I'm in here.
What's up, fellas?
Where were we at?
How y'all doing?
What up?
Good, man. How are you?
We were talking about
I'm
the
good.
big 90-pound elephant, which is social status.
Yeah.
So the catch is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys got to make sure you show up with your shit buttoned up, right? Because if so, that 90-pound elephant now works in your favor. Does that make sense? Because iron sharpens iron, right? If you come out and it's really good and it's a hell of a proposition that people can get behind and it adds energy to the scene, it's gonna make the collective scene better, right? It's gonna bring more energy to the Charlotte marketplace. If not, you could fucking drown and die and never even realize you did, if that makes sense. You can still be living, but never realize it, right? People can be counting you out and you not never know it. And that's just the nature of this world, of this fashion world, right?
Right. Okay.
It definitely is.
Do y'all got
any so y'all got any more specific questions? I want to make sure we can get to some other questions we got in the chat too. So like maybe one or two more questions on the concept, and then we'll roll to some other folks we got in the queue.
Okay.
I did have one quick question I wanted to run by you, James. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes right now.
Go for it.
I was wondering, when did you notice the store started to walk on its own 2 feet? Meaning, when did you notice the work you invested into the store started to blossom into originally the idea that you had for it? Because of course, you know, when you first start something, as you said earlier, you don't know what you're jumping into until you officially jump into it. So when did you start to see everything you work for kind of start to happen? Like,
it's been 15 years and it's still happening. Okay. Remember, this started with Flavor Factory. The last thing we've done was I'm in Year Living. The thing that I'm doing next is built in a 23,000 square foot space with living, eats, fucking whatever in. Somebody said office something about working with Tesla, and I was like, damn, that's a good idea. How could we do it? It's always growing. If that makes sense. You've never arrived in this business.
Never.
The second you feel like you arrived, it's over. Right? So the catch is the AJs and the you guys are the energy. You guys are the youth. You guys are me like, yes, y'all coming, that's dope. But when y'all come, y'all got to show the fuck up in a way that makes this market bigger, makes this market stronger, makes this conversation around what we built more meaningful, if that makes sense.
It does.
I guess my question it's not really directed towards success or anything like that, like not feeling that you made it. It's not really a financial question, but just when did you notice your effect on your community and your effect on the culture starting to transition into what you wanted it to be? I guess that more makes sense.
No, I hear you. And if you ask me, I still don't think it's enough, bro. Okay. I'm being completely honest with you.
I get you.
I'm so underwhelmed by what we do that I'm constantly obsessed about doing what we do. Does that make sense?
And doing more. Yeah.
If everybody in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the United States and the globe don't know about what we doing, then we ain't doing a good enough job. And they don't. So we're not doing a good enough job. Does that make sense? Now things have evolved that I understand that I'm not going to be in the store every day, but I also knew that early on. Me understanding how to grow a business and bring the level of energy that I needed to the business, I knew I needed to quickly be able to work in and out of the business, right? So, but with there being 3 of y'all, my first guess, if you guys are bootstrapping, then somebody's the sales associate, somebody's running to get the shoes, and somebody's answering the phone, somebody's doing the orders, somebody's doing payables, somebody's doing Instagram. That makes sense? And you got to bootstrap that process to make sure, and then you got to get other people to come in on the love, and one of y'all got to go on a buy-in trip. Well, buy-in trips don't exist right now, so that actually works in your favor, right?
Right.
But never, bro. The honest God truth is,
Autopilot doesn't exist if you're an entrepreneur. It just don't
No.
exist because you're the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Jane's nerves probably were the greatest going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3 because he knows the store ain't gonna jump the same way when he ain't there, right?
Right.
But like then the goal changes, then you build a different team to make it operate. You keep aspiring for more, so your team has to keep evolving. So there is no, I guess if you own like a Subway franchise or a 7-Eleven franchise and you get an ill manager in there, there's like an autopilot sense where you can take your focus elsewhere because the business is the business.
Mhm.
But as an entrepreneur, when you're always seeking like new and different things across any business, I would imagine there is no set it and forget it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, man. With that one, I think we're gonna go ahead and roll and get some more folks included on the conversation. Darius, we appreciate you guys jumping on, man.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Next question is gonna come from Ivan. Let me get him up here.
Yo,
What's good?
what's up? What's up, Jay? What's up, Kev? What's up, everybody at the warehouse? My question is pretty simple. Kind of funny you named it after one of my favorite books, Good to Great by Peter Thiel. Asshole person, but good book. But I just want to say, for a kid who didn't want to go to college for financial reasons, but wants to work in the business of fashion without a degree, what would you recommend to like self-improve? And even as simple as like, what book would you recommend for the young mind? And also want to say thank you for the platform you guys built here in Pittsburgh. Working at the Social Status for 5 years, and you guys definitely created a platform and gave me enough resources to improve my life. So that's another thing I want to end on.
I mean, I'll take a shot at this. You said, what do you want to do in the fashion industry?
I'm really into product. I'm not a designer, and I realized like it's logistics, it's the concept building. I think it was in 2018 when the team brought me to Art Basel to work on things, and it just felt right. Like, granted, I didn't get enough sleep, but it was still the thrill of being a part of the team and seeing this moment being created. And I knew like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So still trying to figure out like my exact skill set, but it's pretty versatile and definitely on the sales side.
You said on the sales side or on wholesale, resale, or you still, it sounds like to me you still trying to figure out what you want to do.
I always love being on the floor. I was given the opportunity to go to Agenda and talk to brands and even help with, like, I love it all. It's not like just one thing. It's just, I love being part of every process and seeing it within the business and seeing it from, trade shows to right there in your racks and help selling it and just, tell that story and educate the consumer.
Well, I mean, the first thing I would say is you have a job in the industry, right? So the experience is invaluable because you have so many people in our industry. I mean, most of the people in our industry did not go to school for fashion, all right? Or, many designers, Pell even tell you that, didn't go to school to be designers. So, I went to school, I studied political science. I wanted to be a lawyer. I forgot, Ari told me what he did.
I wanted to be a lawyer too.
Yeah, he wanted to be a lawyer too. So I think the first thing you've gotten right is getting the exposure from being employed in a place that allows you exposure. And it looks like you've been progressing because you've gotten to go and do some different things that maybe a normal sales associate wouldn't get to do. So and I think one of the things you got to figure out is during this exploratory phase, what you want to do. Because until you know where you want to go or what you want to do, it can be a little more difficult to kind of direct you on what you should do or what you shouldn't do. Like you told us right now you wanted to design, then there is advice we could give you for design. If you told us that you wanted to be a buyer, then we could suggest, you know, taking some retail math classes and doing things to tighten up your game. If there was something on the marketing side, I mean, it all, you know, because, you know, the fashion industry is, you know, the positions and careers in fashion aren't a monolith, right? There are so many different kinds of positions and so many different things needed in this business. So, you know, it's important not to pigeonhole you and say that you got to pick something. Look, you can be a jack of all trades, but it helps if you know a direction that you're interested in.
Can I ask you a question, man?
What's up?
How old are you?
22, about to turn 23.
How long you been working with these guys?
I've been working with social status for about since I was 17.
So you gone to school and a little bit of grad school. You just went to the University of the Whitaker group, right? So
Yeah.
experience sometimes, a lot of times, and it's specifically in our business, outweighs a college degree, man. I went to school for business and labor industrial relations, and like I spend my time doing math, literally, you know, spreadsheets and things of that nature. So I guess to me, like to Dre's point, you're in the business, you work for one of the most powerful retailers in the world, and somebody that's, you know, really changed the face of the landscape over the last 10 years. And if you're willing to move, I would be looking inside the building, and as opportunities come up that maybe something pops up that interests you in a merchandising role or an artistic role, you know, I would always look internally first because you spent the time there. They know you. You're 6 years deep, 5 years deep. So, you know, I would start there. And then obviously you have exposure. You've been to Agenda. So you have the ability to meet other brands and other people and other things, which are the hardest connections to make when you're coming from outside the industry, whether you have, even if you have a college degree and you know no one, right? It's never about what you know. It's almost always about who you know. So to me, you are going to school and you're already in the right spot and you're getting all this broad exposure. So as things develop and you see opportunities, I would start inside. I'm not speaking on behalf. That's what I would.
And the other thing is obviously having understanding of our infrastructure because it's our company, right? It's working back with the people on our team and saying like, yo, I want to do something else. What are the other opportunities available? The easy answer we're going to tell you is every opportunity is available. What do you want to do, and why should we choose you to do it? Like nothing around us is everything around us is if you have the ability to do it, we're gonna throw you in the ring. And if you kill the lion, we're gonna probably keep throwing you in the ring, if that makes sense. So it's really just a conversation. Obviously, from you to me, there's manager, retail director, cab Joe, me. But you still got my cell phone number, right? Just like we're here, right? So it's you basically saying like, yo, Jay, I wanna be able to do this or do that, and damn, you just made me realize I forgot to hit fucking Darius from Greensboro, because we were supposed to talk this week too. But example is he reached out to me to talk about some other stuff, and although I pushed him from last week to this week, we're going to probably talk tomorrow and get in a 20-30 minute conversation where I'll direct traffic for him once to understand what it is he wants to do. So to Ari's point, I would just dig around and drill down on what you want to do and why. And you know, if you want to be a buyer in our company, you know what we're going to do. We're going to
Kevin, and what's the other guy's name?
Don't talk shit about
Brandon.
Kevin.
Brandon, yeah. He's like, you know, I had this conversation with them years ago, and they've been nothing but supportive. They opened that door, like, yeah, we'll bring you along, and it's just like it's cool, constant feedback. But I guess that concept of college and degree, when you see that in job applications, kind of always scares you a little bit. Like, man, they're not even gonna look at this. They won't even look at this.
No, for us, it's about execution, bro. I appreciate what college done for me, right? Because college took this dude that had way too many sharp edges and filed some of them down, right? So now I got enough edge to be able to get through thorns, but I got enough smooth sides to be able to have conversations in all white rooms and not be intimidated. Does that make sense? So it's a balance between the two that's going to get you there. And if, to Ari's point, if you can learn how to navigate the choppy water in Whitaker University, no different than there's tons of people that's come out in our industry from the foundation state, right? And those people have gone on to own showrooms and run brands and own brands and do a number of different things. It's not about how you get there. It's just about getting there. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I mean, our COO, who happens to be my younger brother, was the president of a company, is the COO of our company, and he didn't finish college.
Daniel didn't finish college.
Yeah, our business partner. That's right.
Our business partner went for 1 year, and then started selling belts for his father in New York City, door to door, and that's how he got in the business.
Hey,
that's right.
You want a book to read? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It echoes this.
I have that on my list. I totally forgot about that.
Right. But also, like, it's about being a self-starter and self-motivated. I was in the military. I went to school for electronics. I didn't want to do that. I think that it's very important to be with a company where everybody's able to understand the mission statement of the company. And the Whitaker Group is one of those places where everybody has an idea of what this thing is supposed to be, but don't only look at the top to talk to and figure out decisions. Talk to the people that are right alongside of you at the same level, but in a different department. When I was coming up in the game, I was talking to everybody. The marketing dude, Dre, tell you we went on the road together because I needed to understand, like, I had to get into the head of sales. Not just what I wanted to design. I wanted to understand, like, yo, what's actually selling? You know, so you need to talk to everybody, and then you'll start to figure, you'll settle into where you should be. You know, you'll naturally ease into it, but just make sure you have a conversation.
Yeah, and the last thing I add is on the kind of like the self-development tip is doing a good bit of personality test or like strength finder test. Like, this is a strength assessment joint I did with a couple of my business partners, and it helps you understand your personality, understand what your strengths are, understand how your brain works. And that can help you, like, you know, start to narrow down and navigate to, you know, what part of the business, as you start to try and pick one, what part of the business might lend more to your strengths. So being able to do some type of personality assessment, that one's from Galant, I think is a company, but it's called Strength Finder 2.0. It's got a book with it. The book's like, I think $4 or $5. You can get it for like $4 or $5. Taking the test is like $20 online, I think. But it helps you kind of understand yourself a bit more, and that self-awareness will help you navigate any situation, not just like, you know, what you want to do with your career, but, you know, how you deal with your family, how you deal with your girl, or you know what I'm saying, like how you deal with your interpersonal romantic relationships, how you deal with whatever. So that's one thing that I add as well.
Hey, is that the same company?
And also B Social's coming to Pittsburgh, just to plug the community part of the company. I'm gonna throw that out there too.
My man,
that Pittsburgh operation
I see that.
That Pittsburgh operation about to look kind of crazy.
You get it in there. I see you get it in there.
It's gonna look kind of crazy.
I see you with the jab. I see the jab in there.
You might have to holler at me for real.
Hey, Dave, is that book, is it by the same people that made the emotional EQ book?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because I wouldn't be surprised because they got a whole set of these joints, and I'm not familiar with their whole offering, but I'll flash it one more time on the screen so everybody can take a look at it.
Yeah, and so you guys know, huge Fortune 500 companies use those tests to measure the strength of people, and it's actually advice I've been given. Pale actually done one too to measure his emotional intelligence. Men cry at night. Pale done that test. But Dave, you want to
get? Only when I see your afro.
Yo, Ivan, thank you for jumping in, man. But make sure you hit us offline too, man. You got access, even though times are crazy, and I get it, and I have everything the free game. So I appreciate you pushing it to the platform.
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. What's his name? Patterson's up here too. He said he heard you. He got you. So, you know, you got a team. The team got your back, man.
I appreciate
it. Man, you surrounded by superstars, man.
That's the truth, man. Everywhere I travel, it's always, oh, you know, Jay, you know, Kev, telling myself something like, oh man, yeah, for sure.
Thank you, bro. Dave, let's make sure we're intentional about getting these brothers in from LinkedIn. Let me see. It was let me see. One was Kanor, Kanor. You want to check and see if he's around. And the other is Christopher Tansel.
If you guys are here, oh yeah, Christopher's right here. I don't know if he's ready. We can unmute him though.
Pull him in.
Ready. I've been ready.
Oh, he said he's been ready.
Yeah,
I've been ready.
I've been ready.
With that, he said I've been waiting.
What's up with you, Chris?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I know you're doing good because you just got Saint Laurent in your store, so I saw that recently.
Listen. That's not the only thing that makes us smile around here. And we got a couple other tricks. We got a couple other tricks up our sleeve.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I really am. I'm glad y'all are doing well. Thank you for having this platform again, and thank you for being so involved in the community. So I'll go and just like reiterate the question again so everyone can hear it. But this is more directed towards Dave and James, though. I asked James earlier on LinkedIn what I could do now to get a better understanding for the sneaker industry, because that's something I want to go into and like eventually start my own sneaker boutique whenever I'm older and after college. And then he told me to get around a team and be able to grow and learn the business. And then a week later, he posted that he was hiring. So I hit him, and then I was just like, what tips or advice do you have for trying to get the sales associate position? Because I've experienced in sales, just not in retail specifically.
Dave Patterson's on here too, so it's beautiful. Dave, you want to come out the background? Were you in here? I just seen you pop in here.
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, G?
There you go. Dave meet Chris. So what would happen in the process is, right? Me and you was built on LinkedIn, and I love the intention. You reached out to LinkedIn. You reached out on LinkedIn. All your shit was buttoned up. Everything was together. You sent the resume in. You followed it up by asking me the right questions. The next step, Larry, in our process is you would go to a guy named Joe Hutchinson. You would go to Kiana, and you would go to Dave. Dave's on the call. Dave, you want to take a couple minutes to tell Chris what our interview process is like and some of the things that he would be some of the things he should be thinking about as he prepares for it?
Yeah, for sure. And Chris, thanks again for your interest. And I love questions like this. This is a T-ball for me. Obviously, from top to bottom, some of the things that we look for once we start the interview process and we start to look for employees. First and foremost is what you're doing right now is people who kind of stand out from the rest with their intentionality about wanting to work for us, right? What your interest level is for wanting to work for a company like us. There's applying and putting in your resume and saying, hey, I want to work for you. And then there is taking the necessary steps to get your resume read, to get your intentionality heard in the audience of the right people. So I commend you for that. So that's a part of it. I always tell people you're always working your resume, right? Yeah. So I would say that is what we look for in a lot of our candidates. A big word that we use in our company is ownership. And basically, what I want to try to do is explain to you what that means at the sales associate level, right? And at every level. And that's basically looking around the environment you work in, be it the store, be it the warehouse, be it the website, and being constructively discontent and looking around and seeing what is it about this process, about this job that I can add the Christopher to it and make it a better process and make it a better store, make it a better sales environment. And that thought process and that ambition, it shows, right? And it also shows in the interview process, certain questions we ask and certain things that we look for in candidates come out. And that sense of ownership kind of comes out in the interview process. So we look for people who have that quality, right? Professionalism. We're a streetwear store. We carry the best in the world, right? And our partners lean on us to exemplify that professionalism and to match the care and the detail that they put in the work that they put in their products and their garments. We are trusted partners to go ahead and convey that to our consumers, right? So, yeah. So customer service on a level that you've never experienced anywhere else on the planet is something that we definitely look for, and we definitely we build in our sales associates. But we like people who have an understanding of the difference between good customer service and great customer service. So I would look into that and do some research there and try to understand what that difference is. And people who kind of shine in that area, we take notice of. Okay.
Jump in a little bit too. Because what you told me was your ambition is for you to be me,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So if that's the case, you got to do everything Dave just said and then learn everybody else in the job store and be able to do it better than them. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So you
sir.
got to first get hired, then understand every part about that store, not just store operations, contact with consumers, how to service consumers, how to connect with consumers, how to understand and how to listen to them, but how to also lead them, because it's a 50-50 push-pull. You can't follow the consumer because you'll follow them off a cliff. So you have to listen and guide them and allow them to guide you. That's one part of the business, right? But you got to also understand stock to sales plan or sales.
Stock to sales.
There you go. Also, you got to understand our inventory system. You got to connect back to our retail teams. You got to connect back to our digital teams. You got to connect back to our community teams and understand how all that levels up into the bigger part of the business. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Lastly,
And then once you do that, I'm gonna throw one more thing at you. Then once you do that, you got to understand how we're getting to our numbers, right? How to grow those numbers, right? While simultaneously growing the community around us.
Got you.
Go ahead, Dave.
couple of jewels, because I know there's a lot of people may have questions about that I look for when I'm interviewing candidates and that I like to see, right? Do your homework about the Whitaker Group, about the company. What is it we do? What do we offer? We spend a lot of time on these weekly free games explaining that to people. So it's definitely helpful and you stand out when you actually, and this is not just for an interview at the Whitaker Group, but any interview in general. You want to definitely know about the company that you're applying for and the value that you can add to the company, because that's ultimately what I'm looking for when I'm interviewing you. It's a lot of questions to get to. What is it that you have of value that we can use with the company, and how does that align with your own personal goals, right? So the quicker we can crack that nut through the interview process, that's good. So know about the company. And I also want to recommend another book. It's another book called Good to Great. This author is Jim Collins. It was a book recommended to me when I got into this position. And a little bit of background on me, I applied for the position for a store before it existed in my city. And I never stopped applying for that position until I got it, right? And a lot of trajectory that comes from my personal development in the company has been asking the question, what's keeping me from getting, I want to get to this point, what's keeping me from getting to that point? And once I cross all those T's off, then we need to have another conversation about when I'm going to get to that point, right? So just wanted to share all that with you, and hopefully that helps you and everybody else that's looking to apply.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Y'all been really helpful, actually. So I really appreciate it, guys.
No doubt, man. We appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate you hitting James up and getting your question covered.
Appreciate you hopping on. If you got more, here, I'm gonna give you the cheat sheet. You should probably hit Dave up. We have an internal deck that we use that can be a bit of a cheat sheet for you. Hit Dave up, ask for that cheat sheet so you can have time to review it before you come in for an interview.
Okay.
And remind me again, what city are you in?
I'm in Houston.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hit both Daves up, because there's also Be Social in Houston in a new social status space. So Butler and Patterson.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay.
No doubt, no doubt.
All
right, we're going to roll.
Sharifa
just pulled up.
We got to give her a formal introduction. Where you at, Sharifa?
Definitely.
Driving home. How are you?
Good.
Nice.
Everybody, that's Sharifa. You want to give them an introduction in case they may be unfamiliar?
We already introduced you too when you weren't here.
Yeah, we gave you a slight one, but I don't know if we can. I always like to give people they runway to do it themselves. I never want to step on no toes. Okay.
No, I trust you. I trust you guys.
Word. All right, our next question is going to come from his name on here is Humble Romeo. Not sure if Romeo's his actual name, but we'll find out here in a second. And we'll get him unmuted. Get him to start his camera.
Hello.
Oh,
How are you?
curveball.
Hi, my name is Humble. I'm a fashion designer here in Charlotte. My friend Darius invited me online with you guys, and just really grateful to be connecting with you today and listening in on all of the great advice. So my question is, I launched my brand in about, I think 2015, 2016, and for 5 years, I've kind of been like a one-man show, like designing and constructing and executing and marketing everything myself. And I'm kind of looking for an expansion. I'm kind of looking to, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
What's up, little man?
I'm kind of looking to expand now and to just like get more people on my team, but I'm afraid that I don't have enough capital to like put them on the payroll. But what I do have is a lot of experience and a lot of like knowledge in what I do, and I'm pretty confident that I can train a group of people, and even if they don't stay with me to like build my brand, they can take what they've learned from me and build their own. So I just wanted to know if you guys have any like tips on creative ways to build a team without a capital putting them on the payroll.
Equity is one. Equity is one.
Hey Jay, before you go in, I want to say I apologize for assuming that you were a male. Your name's Fire. I thought it was I thought it was like a moniker or something like that. So I want to start with that.
Your name is absolutely. Your name is.
You're fine. Thanks. That's actually my real name, and everyone thinks I'm a guy before they see me, so it's all good.
That's dope. And you said one man show, so I was like, okay, so it's the homie. His name is Humble Romeo. Like that's my fault. My bad.
No,
you're good. Thank you.
I think it's twofold, right? Two things you can look at. The one is thinking strategically. If you can somehow increase your revenue quickly, you can get more money to pay people, right? Because as a business owner, your equity is what you're building, right? So you got to be careful about just giving it away. So the first thing you got to look at is how can you potentially increase awareness to increase revenue to be able to hire people. Then you can start looking at strategic partnerships and then giving up equity, right? I'm going to step back in this and let Dre, Ari, Sharifa jump in because they work more formally with brands than what I do. Obviously, I had to strategically hire when we were smaller, but it was just go slower. But one of the things that I haven't done a very good job at is building our vertical brands at a time when they were being received much differently. 2010 through 2010 through 2014, I think it was much easier to break in as a vertical brand than what it is say today. So I think some of those guys and gal is better suited to answer your question. So I'm going to fall back and let Ari, Dre, Sharifa step in because they could speak a little more about this.
So me personally, I always like honestly depend on like interns and friends. I'm not even gonna lie. When you first start a business, I know it sounds ghetto, but like they sometimes want to help you and they'll support it and they will work with you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you don't have, I do think that James is right about the equity, but I also believe I started a festival based off of all the people that just believed in my vision and everybody jumped on board just wanting to help in the beginning. So I definitely feel like if you can get some people that believes in your vision, they will help you to launch it. And then, as you grow, then you can start paying them if you feel like they are worth paying. That's just my personal take. I always like look at people that believe in my vision and see what I'm thinking can work and go with them. Dre or Ari?
I'll echo what Sharifa said. Me personally, I like to keep friendship out of it. Um, Across the board, I try not to do business with my good friends. I mean, even Dre, Daniel, and Hutch, I wasn't really friends with them before we started our company together.
I don't like you now, man. What you talking
But he's my brother now, but I'm saying we weren't like best friends that grew up together and went into business. But the intern thing, half our company, half came in for free and eventually became assistants and eventually became executives. And one of our best salespeople, one of our top guys in our company was a 22-year-old intern. One of our guys that we love to death that has left and started an international agency was a 30-something-year-old intern for us, and then became a sales assistant and then account executive and then a senior and then left and has his own business now.
Shout out to Sherm, man. Shout out to Sherm.
Yeah, Sherm, Point International is the name of his company. So I think the internship is real. You have valid experience to give people. You have valid knowledge to give people. If you can afford to buy them lunch and pay for their transportation, there's a lot of kids out there that are chomping at the bit. There's a lot of people that just got laid off from gigs that they took because it was money when maybe they weren't into it, that maybe want to get into this. So I wouldn't cheat yourself. That's a real offer. You know, being able to provide someone with knowledge and work experience does cost money. It costs your time, which is money, which is powerful. So I wouldn't cheat yourself. I think building a solid internship network until you get your capital up is a good way. And then when you're ready, you give up a little bit of equity, you could do a real raise.
And you know what? I'll throw something else at you too. Because we're in Charlotte, there's another pain point. And I'll throw it out there, right? There's not a ton of design talent. We don't have it like New York or LA. Everyone is looking to move to those places instead of staying home. So I mean, obviously in a COVID world, it's tough for us to get into be social space. I would love to open up ways to invite design talent to just work in general. I've talked to Hutch and Ari about this ad nauseum. If there's ways for us to get creatives who's interested in designing on garments into a room and us to all figure it out, shit, I'll do whatever I need to do to help champion that idea. So your pain point is also mine. So we can try to champion it together, figure out a solve for it together.
Two things. One is a couple people in the chat asking for your social media, so I'll let you throw that out there. If you can, hold on. I'm not sure if you can unmute yourself. I'm trying to unmute you.
You there, Humble?
Hey, so my social media is at Humble Connor, HumbleConnor.
And then the second thing is I always say, like, or one of the things I was thinking about when I was first figuring out, I started my marketing company when I first quit my corporate job, and I had homies who had brands and stuff like that. And thinking about how everybody was trying to move forward was I bartered a lot of services. So if there was something I needed, if I wanted to get a t-shirt run done and I wanted to make some merch for myself and I didn't have the ability to pay them or whatever, I made like shoot some photos, you know what I'm saying, for their print shop or for their company in exchange for like, you know, them printing up a couple t-shirts or something like that. So being able to barter services as well. If you got a homie that's, you know, dope at marketing, but doesn't know how to cut and sew or may need something done, being able to barter services is another way to, you know, use your skill set to be able to offset what you might not have financially and fiscally as well, as being able to build a network that way as well. And that also works across like, you know, state lines. That works across the state as well. Just like contextually speaking in North Carolina, like I've driven all the way to Raleigh to, you know, take photos for a homie's rap show to be able to get him to do something else. You know what I'm saying? So just being able to use all of your resources and seeing everything as a form of currency and everything instead of thinking about things strictly through a financial lens is another opportunity for you.
Hey, Humble, this shit is dope. Your shit is dope.
Yeah, black is the new black is
Then you
that's
heard real
fire.
quick. You know, one thing that I like is I interviewed a friend of mine. A couple of guys on here know her, Tara St. James, and she's big on sustainability. And this is, I mean, I don't know how far you are going in the sustainable platform, but this is very important. This is the future, and I love what you're doing right here. But also, you didn't say exactly what you needed help with. I take it it's not design. So what are the components that you need? She can't answer. She's muted.
Hey y'all, I can't see the chat for some reason.
Hey, hey.
She's muted again. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, by the way, thank you so much for the kind words. Basically, I'm looking to get to a place where I'm like mainly focused on the collection and design aspect, and I can just like manage the other parts of the brand business. I'm looking to get more help with marketing. I feel like marketing takes like a chunk of my time and time that I could be using for collections, basically, and would like to get some assistance with sales, navigating that.
That's important to say in this channel, so all 64 people that are here know that directly.
Yeah, because you know the foundation does marketing for brands.
And drop her IG in the chat so everyone got it.
I can't see the chat for some reason.
Yeah, hit it. Well, are you on your phone?
Yeah.
That's probably why the screen's not big enough.
Yeah, you got to swipe
right.
you got to swipe to be able to see the chat on your phone.
Yo, humble. I think you need to nudge the foundation. cheap plug. They're kind of the solve for a lot of your problems. I think you need to get Ari and Dre and Hutch and Pale. If you get those, if you get that group of people on a call for about 10 minutes, they can bless you with so many gems that you would probably shed a tear after the conversation.
I
Just
agree.
got you on email in a private note. So just hit me on email and we'll set up a time, and Dre and I and Hutch will get on the phone with you.
Yeah, these guys, for what you're doing, they're OGs at doing exactly what you need. They understand your print, they understand your pain point, and their strength is making people like you, like making designers' lives easier by taking the other pieces of the business away and letting you do what you do well. I'm not saying they can bring you on as a client, but what I am saying is they can give you direction and help you understand why they're so good at what they do.
Humble, you should hit Pell too directly. He's a designer. He's been through it for 20 years, and you should put your IG in this chat because there's people in here asking for it, and I don't see it either.
Oh, I already hit her up.
All right, bet. Can you put her IG in the chat, Pell?
Yeah, I just
did it.
I just dropped it. I got the chat streamlined. It's coming just to me, so I can keep all the questions in line and keep the queue rolling.
And Humble, I just followed you too. If you need something, hit me.
I see it now, Dave.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. My last question, I don't want to take too much of your time, but my last question is, how important is it to like grow your social media following? Because I had a bigger account and I dissolved it just so I could start from scratch to like manage my analytics better. Because in the beginning I wasn't really focusing on the analytics and just how everything was growing organically. So I've come to a place where I'm just like, does it matter how many
since I left the city?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll unmute Humble. I don't know what that was. Somebody just broke into the conversation. was with a Drake verse.
Don't know what that was either, but I got it. I went ahead and just muted everybody just to cut it off.
No, good catch, Dave. Let's find Humble. Humble.
Yeah, she's good. She's unmuted.
Humble. Here's my opinion, and this is mine, and I'm a different breed when it comes to social media. Build your brand. Everything else will follow. Like trying to focus on social media before you focus on a collection, your brand, what it means, what it stands for. That's what it's about. If you don't have that, then I don't know what I don't know if the social media platform is even worth having. Now there's other people, other schools of thought that'll say if you have 1 million followers, you can create a brand. And they're right. You probably could, right? But you are a designer. You've been working on this thing for 5 years, and it's your baby. So it's about the baby, not about the followers. Does that make sense?
It does.
I don't know if anybody else on the panel has any other thoughts around that, but I think those are mine.
Thank you.
I mean, I think for me, I always think about it from the perspective, because I, especially as a photographer back in like 2014, 2015, you know, when IG first let you like upload high-res photos, it was like the thing to like curate your feed, and you were worried about your followers. I started to get worried about engagement. And then for me, I felt like I wasn't worried about the work as much, and I got too much sucked up into the world of social media. So to James's point, I always like to think of things now in the industry, from an industry perspective, which is why it's important for, if you're into fashion or if you're a creative or whatever, to have opportunities like this, because you're starting to talk to people who are in the industry and can start to make certain connections for you. There's always those things that boost the social media, right? That's just eyeballs. That's doing the right interview on the right platform at the right time. And to James's point, those things come when you're doing work, and those things ultimately come from networking with folks in the industry as well. So I would just say, you know, be very targeted, continue to have like conversations with the right people. Don't worry about having conversations with a lot of people.
You're so sad, brother.
I agree.
I would much rather have the people who you need around you than a whole bunch of other people that's just noise.
Absolutely.
Life's about cutting through the noise. Cut through the noise and do work.
I agree with that. 100%.
Blessings, Humble. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for investing your time with us. We appreciate you and looking forward to see you continue to do amazing things.
Thank you guys so much for the valuable advice and for also giving me some of your time. I really appreciate it.
All right, love on that baby for us.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Who we got next?
All right.
Her name is dope as shit, though.
Yeah, that's a fire name.
Humble for a name is fire as hell.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go Pat Joe 28. He had a question in here earlier. Let me get him unmuted. This is a good conversation, man. If you got any questions, just drop them in the chat. We'll make sure you get added to the queue of questions we got rolling right now. Pat Joe, we can hear you, man. You should be unmuted.
Hello.
What's good with you, bro?
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Man, blessings, man, blessings.
I'm a little bit out of breath. I have to run downstairs to grab this book. Wanted to share it real quick because everybody's kind of showing books. But this has helped me out a lot to communicate with people and build relationships and people like that. So this is very important if y'all can get a good look. But just some advice real quick. 22 years old, working to be a world-class problem solver, I like to call it.
I love that.
And so there's I'm working on a project now to where I need to find out how to tell my story. And the background of this project is that I have an uncle here in Charlotte who owns this sub shop, the sandwich shop. He's owned it for the past 30 years.
What is it called?
It's called Sub One Hoagie. I'm not sure you ever heard.
I knew you was about to say Sub One. That's the spot, dog.
Oh my goodness! So people know. So that's the thing. So that's
okay, bro. It's a staple, bro. It's right there on Graham Street, bro. It's a staple.
Right on Graham Street. It's been there for 28 years.
So put it in the chat, man. Let's show us some love.
Yeah,
Sub One Hoagies.
Sub One Hoagie. Yes, sir.
All right, it's in there.
Right next to Freshwaters.
Right next to Freshwater. Yeah, he's on that plaza for the past 30 years, and it looks just dingy. But I'm just trying to help him bring that up. That's what I'm trying to do. But anyways, so he's had this sandwich shop for the past 30 years almost, and I've made some T-shirts in my past, just a couple, just to get my message out there. And I see that this is a point now in the social climate that we're in with his Black-owned business, to really make something that his loyal customers who have been with him for forever, just to give them something back, like a T-shirt. And I don't want it just to be just a T-shirt. I'm trying to tell a story with the past 30 years they've been here. And I'm kind of hitting like a wall with trying to curate.
Well, you just jumped in the right conversation, baby. We got you. Yo.
Exactly. So it's just like,
this sounds like a project. This sounds like we could do a collab hoagie, bro.
Oh, well, I'll show you the sample. I'll show you the sample real quick. But it's nothing. The final product will be out in a couple days.
Pell just jumped on the chat and said he'll make a design for us too.
Oh, bet. Let's go. Let's go.
Where you at, Pell? He didn't really say that, but I'm waiting for him to jump in. Where you at? Where you at, Pell?
Yeah,
I was muted. Thank you for pimping my services. But I mean, I'll keep it 100. I'll help out. I mean, in these times, we need to, you know what I'm saying, we need to build. But another thing is, document that story. You got 30 years of history. Document
straight up.
Talk to those people that have been coming there. Like, you have generations that have been going in there. Like,
bro, we'll shoot you in our local business platform on our social media and push you out to our followers and push the story out. That's nothing. We'll do that ASAP.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Yo, what you have is bigger than a T-shirt.
That's what I'm getting at. I noticed that once, because like I said, this has been my uncle for my life, like blood uncle, and I've been going to the shop.
What's your social media, bro?
The Beautiful LC.
Hold on, I'm gonna put our
LC. LC stands for Leon Cortez. That's my brand designer name to be a product designer. So all my projects go under this name called Leon Cortez.
The Beautiful LC.
The Beautiful _LC.
The Beautiful _LC. And it's the One Hoagie Shop.
Sub One Hoagie Shop is that's the Instagram too, but that's their Instagram. But the shirt is what I'm doing for them, yes. And this has been a project. This has been a project for the past 3 years. I've been working on shirts for them for long, but
how long has it been open?
28 years.
All right, done. We could pull you offline, bro. Our team will be reaching out to you. Or you on his? Do you run his social media?
No, my cousin Derek does. But this has really just been an idea that just came off the flies ever since like past month, and I've been working at it. So now that it's getting closer to being done, I'm trying to figure out the storytelling part. The shirt is done. It's just like, well, you guys have mentioned great advice about it's being 30 years of history, but it's just about, I feel like when people roll out something, just a T-shirt, and a T-shirt is just a T-shirt, but how do you sell the story? How do you sell the brand to the loyal customers for the past 28 years? How do you bring the attention to that this is a staple in the city? Like Dave said, he knows. So this is a staple to where I want to bring a lot of light to this establishment.
James is about to get you that Nike Sub One Hoagie collab. So
I cannot speak for. I do not speak for Nike Inc. Cannot speak for Nike Inc.
Oh my goodness.
Will not speak for Nike Inc. Only thing I can speak for is the Whitaker Group. And the Whitaker Group
cracking Nike joke.
We do an amazing job of telling stories. We do an amazing job of telling stories. And we would love to work with you on telling your story through your platform and our platform, and help and celebrate our local community, man.
Awesome.
We would love the opportunity to participate.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, I guess I've
already sent you information to our team on our chat. They're going to say, what's this? I'm going to explain. My social media is james.whitner. Hit me up. I got you covered.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Say less. We'll get it. We'll get it all worked. We can probably start getting stuff posted as soon as we can get information. I don't want to speak for my team in the process, but the social status team who runs the social status platform will get with you and we'll make sure it's impactful.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I was only looking at 25 shirts to be made, yo. And now I may have to get another order.
Less about the shirt, more about the story, man. We got to celebrate our community, bro.
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Got you, bro. Yeah, that's dope.
Nah, that's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire. I knew he was about to say that, bro. It's only like one black-owned sub shop that we really got for real. So when he said that, I was like, I know he talking about Subway. That's lit. I'm piped up about that.
Now on my cheat day, I'm gonna go in there and get me a cheesesteak hoagie. See what it's hitting for.
Or Canner probably jumped in from LinkedIn, so we'll get him up here.
Yeah, let's get it.
To make sure we get everybody who was in here beforehand. Are you unmuted, bro?
All right. Yeah. So my name is Kanor. I appreciate y'all for. Oh, you're good. It's normal. I always say my name is pronounced. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for the platform and for like taking the time to speak and like drop knowledge and all that. So I actually have a degree in chemical engineering, and right now I work in strategy consulting. So I work with like a lot of like really big companies in all different industries. Like I live in Houston, so I do a lot of oil and gas, chemicals. I work with banks, just all types of things.
Well, first and foremost, bro, congratulations. Keep going. Keep killing it too. Congratulations, bro.
Thank you. But yeah, so I'm really interested in getting into fashion. I've been passionate about, like fashion for wearing apparel for as long as I can remember. So I really want to work in something that I'm passionate about. And so I'm really at this point trying to learn more about like what working in the fashion industry looks like. And so particularly with like business and brand strategy is what I was interested in hearing about. So I think really like for the guys from the foundation, if you guys could talk a little bit more about your work and like really like any advice or tips that you would have for someone in my position, I would really appreciate that.
All right. I guess I'll take this one. You're looking to get into fashion, so you want to change careers, or you're just interested in learning more about it? Is it something that's calling you, or?
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking to like transition, but for me, like it's not really like I'm not trying to, it's not something like I'm trying to like do right now. Like I'm really trying to learn more right now, and then like as I start like continuing to network and figure out exactly where I want to fit in, then I'll be able to like really make that move.
Okay. Well, I mean, the foundation, I mean, our history, we all started off as salesmen in the industry when we launched the agency, and we were predominantly a sales and consulting agency. So typical sales agency, we're the liaison between the retailers and the brands, and moves back and forth. So we're the ones that's selling the goods. That's how we met James. That's how we met a lot of the guys in the industry. The difference with us though is, our business card says we're brand architects, and that's what we've always been. We've always been into building brands. So you have some sales agencies where the product is given to them, and you have us where we were always involved intimately in the business aspects of, at the beginning, all of our brands, everybody we started with. So, we did whatever needed to be done. We would help them with brand strategy. We would help them find a factor. We would help them with operations, help advise them on whatever needed to be done. And that's really the foundation, no pun intended, of where our company started. And over the years, we've morphed into what we are now, which we own, license, and distribute brands. So whereas we were the liaison between the brands and the retailers, we're now the brands, and we deal with the retailers. So, our business, we took all the experience and what we learned, and we applied it to our business to make ourselves vertical, because we were always involved in so many aspects of all our partners' businesses that it just made more sense for us to be the ones that actually own the brands. And in an environment like the foundation, I think as a, obviously there's many sales agencies out there, right? We're not really a sales agency anymore. So it's a great place for people to work because they get exposed to so many different career paths in this industry, right? No different than even what's going on with alma mater and social status. As you know, in order to play at this level, what you're doing has to be so dynamic in order to be on top of the game or strive to maintain that level and get better. That you have to be able to be dynamic and have a lot of things going on within your organization. I remember at one point as an organization, the only jobs we had was sales assistant or sales intern. And, and it was interesting because we've actually had some great people come through our organization earlier on and we didn't have a role for them. And I actually met with one of them the other day. He manages music artists now. And he always wanted to be in marketing. And back then, we didn't have any marketing positions. We didn't have any creative positions. So, it's important. I mean, it sounds like you're interested in fashion and you're interested in brand. I don't know what would be the next step for you because it's you got to want to take that step and it's hard sometimes. And I will say this, I've seen people do it before. Actually, one of our business partners and one of our brands came from finance, decided he didn't want to be in finance. Actually, interesting enough, there's a lot of people in fashion that came from finance that decided they didn't like finance and then decided to jump over to this business. But, it can be hard. It's got to be something that you love or you're passionate about because sometimes you got to start all over, and right. It sounds like you have a pretty good career going. So, not to advise you to do anything any different. You should always go where your passions are and where your heart drives you to go. But also at the same time, you got to look at the pros and cons of when you want to make these moves and figure out the strategy on how to make the moves if that's what you want to do.
And then something else, you always got to always expand your capacity to get where you want to go, right? Like right now, your industry pays your bills. So the thing you got to ask yourself is, what can you do with whatever free time you have? Like, how can you get closer to some of the places that are your passion, but do it without interfering with what brings in your money in now, and then that'll make the transition a lot more seamless.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just reiterate two things that both Dre and James said. James is right. You don't gotta completely leave the life that you've built and the work and time and energy that you've spent to put yourself in the position you are, to having worked with the people you have, to made the money you made. You got weekends, you got nights, there's things in every city, there's ways to integrate into the fashion community as a consumer and figure things out and talk to people and understand the kind of money that can be made or can't be made, because maybe it's a passion, but maybe it's not a career. Maybe it is a career. Lastly, like when you talk about doing strategy and things like that as it relates to our business, it would be difficult for me to leave fashion right now and go into, an oil and gas company and come up with a strategy that made sense for them, because I don't know their industry.
Right.
So if you want to get in, it's anywhere. Get in where you fit in, because you can't be developing strategies and high-level business plans until you understand the industry. And unlike other industries, ours isn't all X's and O's. Sometimes it's gut. Sometimes you have a conversation with a friend or a business partner or an associate, and you're like, I didn't even see that or think of that, because fashion by nature, we're the biggest gamblers. We're betting on what somebody's gonna want 6 months from today when they walk in James's store.
Right.
That's a hard thing to strategize around when you're brand new. That's a hard thing to wrap your head around. And that's unlike almost any other business I can think of. If I sell milk, supply and demand, it's pretty standard. The amount of gallons I sold last week and the same amount of gallons I'm gonna sell next week, unless there's some disease with cows and milk becomes a tremendous commodity.
Right.
Fashion, chain letter goes out, your brand is over. You didn't get the message. It can happen overnight. So to me, it takes experience to be able to build strategy. It's
Right.
the application of what you know in the industry you're in now and trying to mirror that into such a fast-paced environment. It's a difficult marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're smart or you wouldn't be where you're at, right? You've worked hard, you pay attention, you're intelligent. So intelligence is king. That doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're the sponge, if you're that guy, you'll be that guy in your next job. But the money thing is very real. And when you're used to a lifestyle and a certain amount of money, you don't have to just abandon that and nosedive into the next thing. There's ways to ease yourself in, as James recommended. And I think those are things only you can think about.
And since we talking about books today, there's a book called The Originals. Read it a while ago. Me and Ari talked about that book a lot.
You turned me on to that.
Yeah, it's a book that says no one actually takes as big of a risk as you actually think they do. See if you can pull the cliff notes. It'll reemphasize a lot of the things you heard today.
It's a quick read too.
Okay.
And it's like, James turned me on to it like 5 years ago. I quote it all the time. It's like life lessons for business in that book and life.
Yeah. And so one question / request that I did have. So James, and I just like you guys have been saying, it really takes like a deep understanding of the industry to be able to like build strategies and do all the things that I want to do. So I was really thinking about like how I could learn about that, and I wanted to ask James if like you'd be able to connect me with the leadership for your store in Houston.
Done.
So I'm in Houston, and
Hold on for
I feel
one
like
second. I'm going to connect you right now. Patterson, you there? This is just working out so good for me. This is just great.
Yeah. Heard Kenora, we can definitely get you with leadership in Houston.
All right, cool.
So meet Dave Patterson. He's one of our retail directors. I work back with the directors, and they work back with the DMs and managers. I obviously can talk to them also, but to get you in the ground and get you in the roots of, and Houston's a great city because we got Amamiyir Eats on one side.
Mm-hmm.
We got Amamiyir Eats on one side, and we got Be Social and Social Status on the other side, and also Hand Wash Cold with Amamiyir. So there's a lot of life happening there, and there's a lot of learning happening there. So it's a good training ground, and good call out on your part. So we'll definitely connect you. And next time I'm in town, man, lunch on you.
Hey, you have me, but then you lost me real quick.
No.
I got you.
Lunch on me, bro. Make sure you stay in touch. I appreciate how you reached out. You obviously know how to get me. Hit me when you need me, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person.
I really appreciate it.
All right, blessings, bro.
All right, thank you.
Man, I feel like these young boys is getting real smart, man. He said he do strategy and marketing, and boy look like he 22.
Dude, the dude that was talking about the job opening in Charlotte was in high school. And like the amount of research he had done, like,
man,
I put balloons at the Great American Party store, bro.
Man, I don't know what they put in milk these days, man. But that boy was in high school. He better not come around my daughter.
Man, it ain't nothing but it's access to information, man. It's access to information. I wish we had some of the resources, like just the ability to see into the industry at this level that you can now is like insane between the podcast and the articles and all of that, man.
Let me go on a quick James rant real fast too, man. I ain't had one in a while. These $600 checks and what's happening with unemployment right now for anyone who's not employed. If this is not the biggest opportunity right now, if you are unfortunate enough to not be employed right now, or unfortunate enough to have been furloughed, you're getting $48,000 pay to save and research your dream. I hope all y'all doing right by that money and taking this time and using this unfortunate time that's happening with COVID to think about pivoting in your life if that's something that's important to you. Please use this time and make it as meaningful as possible. I've been meaning to say that for 2 free games now, and I haven't. So I just wanted to just burst out with a quick rant. I mean, obviously we all got bills to pay, but there's not many times in life you get a time where you could just sit and lock in and focus. And right now, COVID's giving us a lot of time. So I hope y'all using it wisely. Go ahead, Dave. You could throw another one out. It's my fault for the rant.
All good. Shannon, we coming at you. This is one of the homies.
Hey
Done some work
guys.
with him before.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
What's up,
How
Shannon?
you doing? How y'all?
What's
good?
good?
Pretty good. How you?
Good, good. First off, this has really blessed me. This is my first free game, and I'm just sitting here like collecting it all and taking it all in. So thank y'all for having these. These are actually really amazing, and I'm really, really proud of y'all for doing this. This is really great. Second, we talk about books. This is Steal Like an Artist.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm loving the
Steal
book
Like an Artist.
recommendations.
Yeah, listen, Steal Like
I
an
might have to
Artist.
chop it up and put.
And that same artist, that same author has another book. It's Still Like
Austin
an Artist.
Kleon. Steal
Yeah.
Like an Artist. He has like 3 different ones. They
Yes.
all look like this, and they're all phenomenal.
Yes.
So, all right. So, for those of you guys who don't know, I started a website called C&K Daily about 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years in November. C&K Daily is essentially a platform for female sneaker lovers and creatives and entrepreneurs. Essentially what we do is we serve women in the sneaker and streetwear space. We've been doing it for almost 5 years. We've built a really amazing community, which has been really great. Built our team, what have you. Last year, we decided to kind of start to push away from some of like the sponsored posts and like kind of like the influencery stuff, because in all honesty, there's not really a lot of money in it. There's a lot more work that you have to do versus what a brand is willing to pay you. And so we've been thinking about starting our e-store, which we ended up doing last November. Each quarter, we've seen quite a bit of great turnaround with regards to our e-store and with regards to our merch that we sell online. And now we're pivoting and working with, other creatives and putting out collaborative merch and what have you. So right now I've started to see a lot of investor interest, which is cool. But going back to what Ari said, like when we first started C&K, I had no money, like nothing. And so we built our core group of team, and now, we've dished out equity to them and what have you. My first question is essentially, what do you think roughly I should see my EBITDA at before I start even entertaining investor asks?
Ooh, that's a very strategic question.
I knew you was about to
I'm
like
trying
that
to
one,
take
man.
full advantage of this time. So in this opportunity.
That's a tricky question because it's not about EBITDA. It's about what can you do with the capital, right?
And what you want.
And well, shit, for me, it's about how fast, what does that capital, how fast can I turn it into more? That makes sense. Like there's 2 times you need money. You need money because you're going to shut down, or you need money because there's an opportunity in front of you that's so good that you can make 50 times more if you get X amount of revenue in hand. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
let me ask you back a question. What is your need for capital right now? Why do you need to take in a partner right now?
I would need to take in a partner so that I can build the team. Ultimately, I really want to bring in more talent, especially on the design front. And that's really what I want to do. I want to build our team by being able to pay people to work on the e-store and work on the web and things of that nature. So I really want to be able to finance my staff.
Can your something else that see this is where me and Dre, you can watch me and Dre's philosophy go to battle right now, right? James's philosophy is earn in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Make your revenue be able to pay for all your additional talent. and don't give up equity. You can potentially go into debt, but I wouldn't give up equity to grow the business. If the demand is strong enough for the brand, from my perspective, then the revenue generated will pay for you to be able to hire people. Example, if demand is so strong for hoodies and t-shirts right now, you can place up a new collection today, right? And say it'll ship in 12 days. People are paying right now, right?
Yeah. So pre-orders essentially is what
exactly. You're saying. So the pre-order is going to finance your ability to make the t-shirts, make your margins, and pay people. So even if you don't make any money on that turn, you just hired enough people to help you print and get everything out to the people who funded all those pre-orders, and now essentially poof, your team is bigger. Does that make sense? So that means growing incrementally. If that makes sense.
Also, James, too, right? Before you had your own design staff and you outsourced, right? For a project, for graphics, for a gene, correct?
Yes, exactly.
You didn't have to carry overhead and payroll tax and all the other crap that goes along with having an employee. So another piece of advice is there's tons of talent that works on projects. You can get a graphic done for $300.
Right.
You can get someone to build that out for you for next to nothing. So I think Dre and I are the same on that respect. No one that owns here is a fan on giving up equity.
Right.
No. Well, they'll tell you. I don't like that.
Now, what James and Dre's dichotomy is, Dre would invest up front, James would have the business pay for it. I would say when you're in the early stages, if the only ability to gain the finance is to give up the equity, slow the growth. I agree with James. Like, you're in control. Pair your growth. The money comes, you bring someone on, but there's so many other options besides having people on your payroll. You can still build a team environment without everyone having your email address and working in your office. You know, there's a lot of cheat codes out there to get you money and help you nail some of the things you want to nail without having to carry a payroll.
But I have a question. I just looked at your Instagram. So basically, it's media. Because I don't see any products. You're not selling any products, at least from what I can tell by looking at the website when I went on there.
So we have, if you go to the website, you'll see a shop button, and it takes you to shop C&K Daily. Okay. And that's where all of the merch is. So we have two different spaces. So C&K Daily is essentially, yes, a media platform. So okay. The one thing that I wanted to make sure we did with C&K is create different revenue streams just from this one brand. So that's essentially two different revenue streams.
Okay. Yeah. So does our answer make sense for the first question?
Absolutely. And I've done like the outsourcing and what have you. I think, in all honesty, I think in my head it was like, I need to do this now. Like it was like this next level up in my head, but you just brought it right back to like, keep your money in your pocket, keep your equity here.
Yes.
I wonder if there are options. I've had conversations where investors are looking to offer say like 50K up front for no equity, but for repayment plus interest in a certain
There's also the SBA, which offers small business loans at tiny ass interest rates. And right now, they're hella motivated. You have a proven track record. You're not brand new. You got a balance sheet. You got a cash flow. You got a tax return. One of the guys that left our company, he opened a retail store straight up with a loan from the SBA.
Yeah.
Like the riskiest business imaginable. And the SBA was like, sure, you need 60 racks? Here.
And Chan, let me say something else to you. You're a Black woman.
Yes.
You're a rarity out here. Like you're a Black woman in a space that's dominated by men, and you have a platform, and you're doing a really, really good job at it. You need to leverage that before you start thinking about taking money from anybody else. SBA money's almost free right now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, wait. Let me go back. I'm sorry. I just went back to your side again. So the way it works, does it work as like an affiliate program? Because all I saw was the blog, and then I clicked shop for the women's blazer, and then it took me to end. Is that how it works?
No. Okay, so that's how it works for this C&K Daily side. You should be able to hit a shop button in the menu that takes you to Shop C&K Daily, which is our own platform where we sell things like this.
Can't find it either.
Yeah, I'm not. I just had to be honest with you.
Yeah.
All I see is home, features, footwear, style, BLM. I don't see any shop.
You should put that URL in your bio as like a shop URL. I don't, because when I go on the site too, I can't.
Yeah, I can't find the shop. That's why I was having a hard time. That's why I haven't even said that much yet, because I didn't completely understand what it was. I do see some people that I know.
Well, okay, so you're on the website right now, right?
Yes.
I see it. Shop
If
now.
you scroll down, you can hit Shop C&K. I'll make sure we change that in the actual main head.
It'd just be easier, I think. You might do more sales if you just have that link right in your bio.
In your bio, I agree.
It's at C&K Daily, right? What's the social? I'm gonna put it in the chat now.
It's Shop C&K Daily.
Yeah, you could get really good graphics from a lot of people without hiring. You obviously have a printer. You obviously know like the blanks you like, and like there's probably a lot of footwork in your head for you to do just on the graphic side, I would imagine, right? Just more messaging, more storytelling, more things of that nature.
Right.
There's so much design talent out there that's not working right now. It's ludicrous. Yeah, I'm gonna send you my email. We'll help put you in touch with some people.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you so much.
Oh, you got anything else for us?
Just one more question actually for Ari. So I heard you talking about estimating customer behavior, which is essentially what we're doing right now. So we're already planning our third collection, which will release obviously in October, close to election time, all of that stuff. How far in advance should we be creating collections? My goal was to create 6 months in advance, but again, I think
you have a benefit that like full collection business doesn't have, right? So I'm Saint Laurent and I got to sell to James to deliver in January.
Right.
I have to show James in June and all my other retailers. I have to collect all my orders in July. Go get my fabrics, place my production POs, give the factories 3 months to make it, a month on the water from China, give myself a month in my warehouse to get my goods out. You don't have any of those issues.
Right.
It's going from your warehouse to your website to your consumer. So the beauty that you have is you can react so closely and so quickly to whatever social things are going on out there and infuse it into your messaging. You don't have a wholesale process. What does your printer do? Your printer can, I'm guessing if you have a decent printer, they can turn around your order in a week.
Well, it's about 2 now because
so 2 weeks. So that means you could go from design to in your warehouse in a 3-week standpoint, right? A week to design, pick, your blanks, send them to your printer, bag tag back to you in 3 weeks. To me, that's the beauty of what you got. I don't, unless you're, going to China and making some cut and sew thing, like you have the ability to react so quickly. Like Hutch is on here. He owns a store called Prosper with James and the Whitaker group. Like he can tell you, like they print on site in the store.
Right.
Just to be as quick as humanly possible. So that 6 month in advance, that's the things we have to do. We're forced to do it because that's what keeps us in business. But a lot easier to have mitigated guesses if you're much closer. To your
I'd add to Shannon, like knowing that y'all have such a dope community, and knowing, like, to Ari's point, and looking, I think you have the opportunity to explore some like super dynamic models. And the questions you're asking, they remind me of if anybody remember Kirby's episode of Business of Hype, where he talked about like feeling like he had to have a certain structure to like exist in the industry. And he took like some really bad business deals because of that. I think you just have an opportunity to explore things in a very unique way. Like even to the point of, taking care of your design overhead and being able to do things at the same time. Like you could literally source that from your community and build individual capsule collections with female designers that are already tapped into the C&K network, and they could be paid on a commission basis on how sales are doing because you know you have the traffic. So like you have the ability to do literally whatever you want because you have consumers that want your goods and you have talent within that same community. So you could really just drill down into what you've already built through your infrastructure the last 5 years to be able to create a model that continues to feed itself. You know what I mean? Like how many girls out there in your community would want to have a dope collaboration with C&K or to say that they worked on something for C&K, right? So I would just explore some of those like non-traditional models and think about how you can connect some dots with the pieces that are on the table and on the desk in front of you already. Because I'm guilty of this too. I feel like we have like similar trajectories because you think about things and you think about the structures that you see and you want to build them. And to Ari's point, we don't think about them as like these are things that have to exist because of scale and all these other different types of things, and we end up boxing ourselves in. So like, yeah, like I would just take some time to kind of like zoom out and look at the pieces that are on the table, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna find like the right solution for C&K as opposed to trying to fit C&K into what the industry model or what we view as the industry standard.
Yep. Awesome. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it.
By the way, I think what you're doing is really dope. This is my first time looking at it. I just looked all through Instagram. It's really.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you
I was
so
gonna
much.
say the same thing.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharifa.
Nah.
I see the buns is popular.
Listen, this is quarantine hair.
This is quarantine.
I see y'all tweeting.
This is I don't have to do my hair ever.
Exactly.
Literally just combed it for y'all. So thank y'all.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks.
All right. Sharifa, you look nice and settled, so we're gonna get you some action now.
Oh no.
We're gonna get you some action now. My boy Samir had a question for you directly.
Oh.
So I'm gonna get him to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yep, go for it.
How you doing? What's up, Jay?
What up with you, boy?
Chilling. I'm gonna have to come at you for that comment about the Charlotte designers, man. I could put 10 Charlotte designers against anybody in New York.
Man, send them all my way. Send me all their Instagram. Matter of fact, as soon as you get off, send me all their grams right now. I'll put them all in the lab tomorrow. Let's go.
All right, say look.
Put them all on this call.
They should be here already. But yeah, so how you doing, Sharifa? My name's Samir. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I actually have a direct-to-garment printing company that I started in 2011. So we specialize in low minimum, fast turnaround printing, and I actually got into it by starting a clothing brand in a retail store with some friends. That's also been going on since 2011, and I've made an effort to kind of bridge the two. So I started my printing company to have a company that could cater to my brand, and the printing company started to take off a lot. Obviously, in revenue, just was A, I really hate retail, and B, the printing company was just a lot more lucrative. So as we're growing that, I'm working with lawyers to grow, and Jay's introduced me to bankers, and the plan for that is 100 locations in 12 years. In doing that, I've created a really intensive training program called T-Shirt University, which was originally used as our training program to get all my staff up to date at Digital Apparel at the printing company. And it's actually transformed into an online course that we just launched that is essentially helping brands go from $0 to $5,000 a month in 4 months. So it goes over the legal, social, and creative aspects of starting and maintaining a brand. And essentially the difference between a brand and a business, how they work together. And as I'm scaling brands from essentially, $0 to $50,000 a month, I know that, the trade show circuit is essentially kind of like that next step into the industry. And I want to be able to not now with some of the smaller brands we're helping develop, like literally from idea, from concept to shelves, we're going, we're helping them just kind of go from there to there. But as I work with brands over the next 2 to 3 years,
that are going to be, you know, at that higher level. I want to be able to have the trajectory for them to get into the trade show circuit, because I know how valuable it is. My mother has been a flight attendant since like 1985. So like every agenda in Magic, I flew out twice a year, you know, for the past 8 years. So I literally would take the golf cart to the back of Magic Sourcing, get everybody's business card, ask everybody's minimum order quantity, you know, so I've got like this massive Rolodex of manufacturers. We've helped brands scale into cut and sew, but I really want to figure out from a trade show perspective, I don't want to necessarily work in the capacity of a showroom, and the brands that we might be working with are going to not have any experience in the trade show circuit either. So I want to get them developed to where they could benefit off of that environment. But I don't know the process to getting either creating the relationship to where we can be that voice for the brands, not necessarily handle them from like a sales perspective, like a showroom would, like buy up a block of a showroom or a trade show and put their own sales staff in it, but more so provide with them the platform to do it themselves, you know, so they can get that hands-on experience.
No, that's totally understandable. I think what we can do, and I definitely will work with you because it's going to benefit both of us, right? You'll introduce me to new brands. We could do like a one-on-one training on how to get into a trade show, the kind of things that you need to be ready with and everything, you know, to go forth with the trade show. So that's easy. Me and you can connect offline and we can figure out how to do that together.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
You on that.
All right. So
Amir, how do you know about trade shows?
He said he was going to Magic and
agenda. So you saw it. You saw how brands are set up. You saw how it worked. And now you feel like you can show that to other people, right?
For sure.
So getting your guys and these brand partners and these guys you help building to those shows is half the thing. Right?
Exactly.
That eliminates 50% of the surprise when they show up with no signage and no cool things for the shelf and like no beverages for buyers, right? Because they're like, oh shit, I didn't know these guys did build outs or brought this dress mannequin. So half of it is just getting them to a show or putting them on the website. Liberty Fairs, they have recaps up there. Exactly. They have tons of video on social, and they can get a visual of like what their physical needs will be from an art standpoint. From a
we also do like a whole Zoom thing now that's showing what the trade show aspect is like. So I definitely would like to work with him on that, just because I think, you know, that's a part of the stuff that I think a lot of these new brands are missing, is just the education about any of it. Right. So
not even knowing they exist is
not even knowing they exist. You know, so I would definitely like to inform as many people as possible and try to help on that level. So I'm 100% in.
Cool. I appreciate that. And the humbling experience of just walking into a showroom and like, oh, I'm like, you know, Fila's got a Ferrari, you know what I mean? In front of there was a brand, I don't know how many years ago, I don't even remember the brand, but I remember that they had a mermaid in the tank at Agenda. Like they had a real woman and they had, you know, a woman in the tank. I don't know how many years ago it was. But you know, the impact of them and, you know, seeing what that is kind of like, we've been able to help brands scale into, you know, from that first shirt from an idea into, you know, working with different factories overseas, from a consulting basis, not really getting involved in investing or being partners with them, but just helping them work that relationship with them. So I know how important the trade shows is for that scale. And if you've got something dope, the investment of just getting the samples out there and writing the orders, you know, you don't have to, like Ari said, if you already have your manufacturing line up, then you can take that gamble out there. You could spend on the trade show booth, you could take the samples out there, you could put your balls on the line and just hope people like it, and you could fulfill on the orders within 6 months because they're buying for a season out. So, you know, I want to be able to provide that scale for them so that people can really see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Well, brother, I don't want to interrupt you, but I need you to provide those 10 designers you was talking about. On that, you know, you started with that. I just posted something on my DM to go ahead, but I should have added you on that. Matter of fact, I probably will if I don't see them 10 designers. I'm gonna text you after the call. We probably got another hour. I'm gonna be waiting for those 10 designers.
All right, bet. I'll put the list together.
I
got a list of 200 designers in Charlotte.
You got a list of 200? Okay. Okay, you hear it, Sharifa. I'm glad you heard it.
Need the 200. I need to talk to him. I just put my email in your in the chat. So email me. 200.
Sharifa, if he got 200, 20 of them gonna work for us tomorrow.
No, they're gonna be Swiss cheese by Monday.
Yeah.
They'll be Swiss cheese by Monday. Oh, you ain't tell me it was this kind of design. What kind of shit?
Yeah, what you say? They ain't gonna make it through week 1.
Nah, they're gonna be on a plane to China and not knowing what the hell's going on with their life in 2 weeks.
Yo, it was good. It was good seeing you. But seriously, whoever you think can stand the heat, send them to me.
I mean, you know, kids, designers these days have, you know, there's so much opportunity, honestly, on their own 2 feet that like they're so anti-establishment, and you're becoming the establishment now.
Yeah.
You're so big that you're like the establishment, and you know that's something that a lot of these young kids, like with the consignment stores and with the brands that they're starting, like, I mean, you know, we get a call every day, like, and we have 2 different conversations with people. When they call and they say, hey, we need to get shirts printed, that's one conversation. How many and how soon? But when they have the conversation of I'm looking to start a brand, I'm like, okay, well, the first step isn't getting shirts printed. You know what I mean? Because
100%.
that's
Well, emphasis. Let me put an emphasis on this. You ready for the emphasis? The people who are ready.
Yeah.
We've seen. I've been looking at you for a lot of years, and we've seen a lot of people come and go. Emphasis of people in Charlotte who are ready.
What kind of design though? Just like
we can talk offline.
Yeah. All right.
All right, bro.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, I learned my lesson on names. So this could either be Gabrielle or Gabriel, but either way, they're calling in or they're on free game from Botswana, which is insane in and of it.
Oh no, he hit me on LinkedIn too.
Word.
I love it.
So we're gonna go ahead and get them up here so we can see what's good. The mic's undone. Video should be on the way.
Am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
Bro, we can hear you.
Yeah. I'd like to thank for the opportunities that you guys have given me. I'm Gabriel, as you've had Dave saying. And hi to everybody. Sharifa, James, Ari. Yeah, I'll start off with my background. I'm an IT auditor. What I actually do is that we do balance and checks for the IT infrastructure. So growing up, I've always had interest in clothing, inspired by my mom, who's a tailor, and also my dad, who was into retailing. So now what we have actually done is that we have put so much hours. It's been close to 10 years. And 7 years after graduation, we've been getting to study a lot about fashion and getting to try to figure out things, how to do things right. So me and my business partner, who is an accountant by profession, we are trying to build up a sneaker boutique, mostly selling brands that are already known because of the influence that we have had externally. Because if you get to put lenses on the local scenery here in Botswana, is that because of the influence of the Western culture, people are so into American brands, UK brands, and all that. So what we plan to do is that we would want to have like 70% of the stock list to be Western, while we still try to get 30% of the local. So what we wanted to know is that what advice would you give someone to be able to get this the stock that is actually from the right distributors and the right brands? Because what we actually want to do is that we want to build a brand that is trustworthy, that people would want to associate with. We have already had like a story that we want to tell, but one hurdle for the next 2 years, because we are trying to build that within 2 years. would want to know the right steps to take to be able to get there and provide these brands that our local scenery they are connected to.
Well, I think Sharifa, Dre, Ari. Sorry for putting y'all back on the spot again, but I think when we start talking about how to obtain brands, especially globally, you guys do this every day.
Do you know the type of brands that you're looking for?
Yeah, we'll start off with Billionaire Boys Club.
Oh,
and then because like our focus right now it's in within the medium end and the high end, because that's what we want to do, because like locally there's no competition. So
You know
like
what, you know what, Gabrielle? I think there's somebody on the line that can help you with that.
that's why I said, oh.
Yeah.
So Ari, about that.
Bruh, you better
Brother
pick up
Hutch.
this. Bruh.
Brother Hutch, where you at, man?
Bruh.
Bruh, this
Bruh.
has been you all day, man.
Where you at, bro? He taking the trash out again.
No, he there.
No. What? I'm sorry. What I missed?
There's a brother. There's a brother.
Gabriel's opening a sneaker boutique out of the country and is interested in Billionaire Boys Club.
Out of the country?
Yes, where there is
Botswana to be exact.
Botswana,
where there is no distribution.
and I don't want to hear y'all don't got distribution there either.
We actually don't. But what you mean Botswana? Botswana?
Yeah.
Yeah, Botswana.
Georgia.
that would be Craig, right, bro?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Craig covers, Botswana, but I can find out. That's not a problem. So it's just who, depending on I'm sorry, I was moving around, so I didn't catch the person's name, but
Gabriel.
we can connect offline through email. Do the person live in Botswana?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's calling in from there.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, he's on the call right now.
In the middle of the night.
Okay.
And bro, Gabriel, I'll give you all the props in the world for stand up.
Oh yeah.
This is what effort looks like.
Yeah.
No, I think
actually we not only limited to BBC ice cream and all that. We also open to other brands that you guys think that we can actually share with the local scenery.
Well, I would say this, because you don't have any competition. If you have if you build the right concept that makes sense for these brands, the barrier to entry based on the brands you're going to be looking at is not going to be as high. I mean, the hardest thing is going to be, some brands may have a distributor in that region of the world, or they might have a licensee. So you may have to deal, for example, I believe the partner that handles BBC is the same gentleman that has Europe, and that's what bruh is gonna check on. And so instead of dealing with us, because we only handle the United States, he would be the contact, and that would be the process that you would go through. But I mean, your biggest friend is that you don't have competition, especially when you're going to be in the streetwear space, when people are trying to definitely control distribution and limit the amount of doors in a particular market or region. Do you have a local freight forwarder that you're working with? Like, have you started receiving any product yet?
No, the plan is that right now we are focusing on both financial security and also networking, because those are the foundations of business. So like at the moment, we haven't yet pushed to that space where we are just getting products.
Okay, well, it's good that you're focusing on your financial infrastructure first. Always got to have good business, man. But I don't know what the freight situation is, but usually with the international accounts we dealt with in the past, people will work with a freight forwarder sometimes. That's like, if you're dealing with brands that are based out of the U.S. that don't have a distributor locally there, sometimes you'll have a local freight forwarder in the United States that can consolidate and ship your goods in. People do the same thing in Europe. You know, these are some of the things, especially when you're in the international market, that becomes important to, you know, to reduce some of the costs. Because, you know, you can incur very high shipping costs. I don't know what your duty situation is in your country, but, you know, whatever products you're buying, usually when you bring it in, you have to pay the duties on it when it comes in. I mean, yeah, we can connect offline. There's some things we can tell you, even how to work with that situation as well.
Gabriel, I shot you my email address, and we'll do whatever we can do to connect you with the brands that we're close to. But each brand, to Dre's point, will most likely have a unique circumstance. Some will let you buy directly from them. Some might have a guy in Europe. Some might have a guy in your region. The smaller the brand, the most likely you'll be dealing, you know, direct. The bigger the brand, the most likely you'll be dealing with a distributor or someone of that nature. But I shot you a note direct, and just send me back your information, and I'll connect you with the rest of our team, and they'll give you some help to try to get you the information you need.
Highly appreciate it.
No, man, you're a soldier. That's real right there. Staying up all night. That's half the battle, bro. You're willing to put in the work. That's the battle right there.
Bro.
No, I'm super impressed by that. That's crazy. My apologies. I'm trying to multitask here, but that's amazing.
I give you all the props in the world, man. 3/4 is getting there is the willingness to do the work. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you staying up the ground with us.
I appreciate it.
And if they don't,
thanks for the opportunity.
And if they don't get you BBC, man, make sure you. Man, that's the least they can do at this point.
For real.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Amazing. Free Game International.
Come on.
That's real. It's right? 3, bro. It's 3 in the morning over there right now. I had to.
There's only 55 people in this room, man, and one dude is in Botswana. That's nuts.
That's wild. That's a big wild.
It's epic.
Oh man,
that's nuts, man.
Cool. Next question is gonna come from Jonathan Jones. He's got a question about payroll.
Ooh. Oh.
Keep it low.
I don't speak French. No, I'm
you unmuted, man. You should be able to.
We need to call Joe into this call, man. I ain't seen payroll in a while.
Jonathan, you there?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, what's good?
Yeah, go for it.
My bad. I had y'all hooked up to the system, man. My bad. Thanks for everybody for throwing me. I love tapping in when I can. My question was, what are some ways to determine if someone should be hired as a 1099 independent contractor or a W-2 employee?
Well, I think that's how does the business need them. I think that's just it, right? Because people who, I mean, listen, there's two conversations, right? I hope nobody from the IRS is listening.
Come on, man, you're making my job hard. I got to edit this, man.
No, real rap though. From a 1099 side, it should be people that are truly contracted for the business. People who you use, who have businesses of their own, and they constantly contract into your business, long-term contractors. Everybody else should be small strategic partnerships. And if it's somebody that's an integral part of your business, and you need them day to day, you should probably be hiring them on the team. Now, I think we had a few other conversations earlier in today's session about at what point you need to bring them on. I think we had one with Chan. We had one with a few other people earlier. Is how do you know when you need to hire people, and hell, can you afford to hire people? Right? Like payroll is one of the biggest things that sink people.
Gotcha. All right, great. That was good. I'm trying to take all this down. Okay.
And if you want to put somebody on your payroll, bro, you can put me on. I'll see you my social.
All right.
And where are you located, man?
I'm out of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
So I would even say this: when it comes to payroll, especially with our businesses now, because of the size they've gotten to, we got to be as much by the book as possible. I can tell you when we all started, we had employees on 1099. I remember I used to do the payroll. I used to literally, there was no payroll. I used to go and do the payroll, paycheckcity.com.
Great. It ain't been 7 years yet.
I used to do paycheckcity.com to do the payroll for the team. Also,
tell them how that worked out the first year.
they have laws about putting employees on salary because people will work more than 40 hours a week. Well, now they got laws. You can't have people. You got to pay people a certain amount of money to put them on salary. I can tell you every small business I know of out there has people on salary. Everybody I know. And they're not paying them the minimum that they're supposed to be paid for them to be on salary.
Great.
So
Some of your friends is going to jump on you, man.
Nah, you know
the minimum, but no
alternative.
No, but what he's saying is the minimum salary now, I think, is $35,000.
Oh no! Depends on what state you live in.
Depends on what state.
In California is 50. In New York it's 60.
60.
That's what y'all get for having that highest cost of living. Down here in North Carolina, it's 35.
Look, I knew Sharifa knew right off top. She's like, "Oh, I know what this is."
Yeah, bro. But I think it comes down to the revenue of your business, and what percentage of salary, what percentage is that going? What percentage of that is going back to salaries? Is that makes? What industry are you in?
We do audio and media production, so like podcast production, audio mixing, recording, engineering.
Okay. Did we answer your question through the jokes?
Yes, I got it. That was great.
You still want to hire me?
I'm gonna get back around on it.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, boy.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Thank you.
For sure. All right.
How we looking in there?
Yeah, no, we got a few. We got maybe like 2, 3 more. I know we getting late. We getting this 9:15. We want to make sure we respectful everybody's time. We only got a few more in here though. Next question is from Tyler Martin. If they're still here. I don't think they're in here. I don't see him in my list. Oh, there he is. Thailand Martin, not Tyler Martin. Need to put on my new glasses.
What's going on, guys? I appreciate y'all taking time, man. This is great. This is a good platform, man.
You kind of muffled.
Yeah.
You kind of muffled, bro.
Oh, my bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
I can hear you.
Perfect. I was just saying this is a great platform. I appreciate you guys taking the time, offering your knowledge and wisdom to everybody, man. I am a member of this, retail apparel industry. Kind of been a part of the apparel industry for as long as I can remember. I went to school in apparel, fashion design, minor in international marketing. I've kind of known from the beginning of time that this is going to be a business I'm going to be a part of. I'm going to kind of do it forever. But my question and my struggle I'm having right now, I've been a buyer for the past 5 years. I've actually seen a few of you guys' faces in some of these shows. But the issue I'm having is, how do you balance your personal creativity, your personal goals, and your ideology, the things that, your passion for this industry? How do you balance that with some of the visions and values of the corporate lens? As a Black man in this business, we find ourselves a lot of times in rooms where we're being told, what product is right for the consumer from a cultural standpoint, where I can respectfully feel like they may not understand. So how do you respectfully argue that? How do you respectfully, stand for your design, for your culture, what you understand and know, is right for the consumer, and balance that with meeting your sales projections, return your growth margin, sales plan, pleasing the upper management? How do you balance that?
Hey, I want to say one thing. Pell was in mid-paint stroke, and he turned when my man asked that question. I saw you, Pell.
I mean, I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I had the beauty of working, and I'm not going to name any names. I mean, Dre knows everywhere that I worked at, so maybe he could guess some. But I've worked at some great places with white people who let us take the reins because they knew that we understood the consumer, because we are the consumer, right? Especially at that time. Then I've been in other places where they're telling me, yo, just throw the logo on it because that's what they want. And it's like, you know, I think as a creative, it's kind of tough, but you got to be you. Because if you're not, I feel like if you're, and I'm giving you from my perspective, I can't stifle my creativity. It's very hard. Like right now I'm painting because I need to do something else. Like I'm managing the team and Brad knows about this, you know, and it's a great thing, but as a creative, you want to create. And especially if you feel like your lends itself to the people that you're selling towards, I think that you have to have that honest conversation with them. And if it doesn't fit, you need to leave. You know,
my next
Well
question.
said, bro.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying well said, Pedal.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, man. So my next question for that would be, how do you, I mean, I definitely, you know, very spiritual man and understand, you know, stepping out on faith. But, you know, I know all of you guys that follow your dreams and follow your passion. How do you truly, you know if that's right? You know, I guess you never know until you make that step. But, you know, I really find myself balancing that, you know, again, I built a livelihood off of this. I recently relocated off of this business, you know, and I enjoy this industry. I love everything about it. And I love more so the appeal that I have on the consumer, being able to reach out and touch the kids, young women, young girls that, you know, go out and buy this product every weekend, every Monday through Friday, and really allow me to pay my bills for so. But I'm just balancing, stepping out on my faith, like you said, and following my creativity, following when I committed to, you know, receive that degree and take those challenges, basically going to debt for this business. And right now I'm balancing that with being able to pay my bills.
Well, on the words, in the words of one of my good friends, Emory Jones, you gotta bet on yourself, man. And you gotta know when it's time to bet on yourself. And your gut will tell you that. Like everybody on this screen at some point had to make that bet on ourselves. And shit, every day we still gotta go. And obviously it gets easier as we get into the grind. But it's not an easy thing to do. But if it's clearly calling you, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. And because of that, you got to know when to say when, and you can't be scared to take the plunge. And you got to always know that you're great at what you do. So even if the company you were with, if you need to go back, if the company you're with won't have you back, somebody will. But you gotta understand that you owe yourself the opportunity to at least shoot your shot. You gotta bet on yourself, bro. At least that's my stance.
Alan, how old are you, man?
I'm 26.
You don't want to turn around and be 46 and have like mortgages and finances and obligations and be like, man, when I was 26, I wish I had. We got a girl that works for us that's 40 years old. She came to us in December with a business plan and an idea. And I looked at her and I was like, yo, if you still work here in February, you fucked up. Excuse my language. Because the worst case that happens here is it doesn't work out. You're talented. You'll come back to this career. Someone will hire you. Like every entrepreneur, we are 14 years in. My partners will tell you, I wake up with the same nervousness and anxiety that I did the day we started. Lots of money passed. We're a lot more stable now. All those things. I wake up the same way I did today, 15 years ago. Jumping out of bed, palm sweaty, heart beating. Like, are we gonna make rent today? No one. But still wake up like that every day. And I don't know if, like, I've read bios of like Michael Bloomberg and shit where he still wakes up like that and he's got 50 billion. So the passion is the passion. The last thing you want to do is get to a space in your life where you don't have the flexibility to chase something.
Yeah.
And then you fall into well, now I got daycare and mortgages and car notes and I got to help my mom. And then you stuck.
Three more questions, bro. You got any kids?
Let me just dial in and say one more thing. You gotta also be honest with yourself.
Yes.
You know, there's a point in time where you're gonna look at what you designing on that paper or the conversations that you're having, and it's gonna be over your head, and you gotta realize, like, and it's not about you. Don't look at it as a loss; it's a lesson. So that's very important. And one of the guys that we work with, he was just on a podcast named Adrian Briscoe. He's a sales rep for Planes and for BBC. they asked him about building your own brand, right? And at the end of I think his answer was so poignant. You gotta fuck with you. You gotta fuck with you. You gotta believe in you. Later for everybody else. You gotta know that your shit is dope.
And listen, that you just gotta. Well, the two questions I was going to ask before was back to what Ari was saying. But man, you got to be willing to just go all in, man. Cool for me has always been betting on myself. Cool for me, like look at me. Most of the time I look like shit. The only reason when I'm in public I don't is because my friends won't hang around me if I don't get myself together. So they call me and make sure that like I groom myself and shit. If not, I would just come out. I would just stay in the cave all day and do my work and focus on my grind. Cool is betting on yourself. Cool is having goals and knocking them shits out and continuing to raise the bar and competing against yourself every day to beat yourself and then waking up and doing it again. That's the shit. Do that, bro. When you doing that, ultimately, you'll feel better. And even if you miss, you know you shot your shot.
I appreciate that. So just one more. I'm sorry. I have one more question. Like I said.
Go for it, bro.
What would you, from like definitely listen to from what you've grown on the platform? I definitely followed from the beginning. What would any of you guys definitely chime in? What would you say would be the first step in that? Stepping away from the a platform where I have a great storefront, opportunity to supply a great demand, but what would be that first step in building the Tyler Martin brand? Because like I said, I have the degree, I have the blueprint, I have the sketches, I have the what I believe to be great.
Let me ask you three personal questions. Do you have kids?
I just had a son.
Do you have a girl or a wife?
I have a girl.
You got to make sure your home is okay first.
Absolutely.
Because if your home isn't right and you don't have the foundation to support your home, everything else will crumble when under. That's the only thing that can make a man crumble, right? Is if your home is not right, then that's your foundation. If that's not right, everything else gets shaky, right? So make sure you got enough resources to make sure that's straight, right? That means make sure your savings is on point, or make sure you got a secondary hustle that can keep your savings straight, or have a candid conversation about the people who you work with now, and tell them about your ambitions, and maybe y'all can leverage a partnership to make something happen, right? If not, just keep it a million with them. Tell them what you want to do, and ask them if, hey, we could keep working here. And Ari, tell them about what y'all done with Rob Bohan. They had a guy who worked with them who wanted to move to the Midwest and open a boutique. They gave him a year runway to do it. And I think by 6 months, he was at halftime. He was at half pay. 9 months, he was at 3/4. After a year, he was out the door. And all of the homies, we corralled around him to make sure he was straight. Make sure it was built the right way and he was standing on his 2 feet.
Yeah, I think if you got people that believe in you and listen, it takes the right ownership and the right kind of bosses to willing to let good people walk out the door and invest in them. But any good boss will not want to hold you back, man. You're a young dude. Like anyone that is really looking out for you and really cares about you and your family is going to help you get to the next step. Just like they're in the step that they're at. So James's story is true. Only we didn't cut his pay, and he had a year runway. And he worked for a year, and I knew full well that he was taking this day to go look at that lease and this day to go to market. And not only did we allow it, between our network and what eventually became his network, we helped him get the brands.
Hell yeah.
James helped him with his build out. So if you're around the right group of people and you got the right circle, they hopefully embrace it and help push you along. There's nothing worse than keeping a young person like chained down and not letting them realize their dream. Like that don't make no sense. And if they're that kind of people, you need to get out of there anyway.
Yo, when people leave our team, there's a burden, man. You can't walk away. When they walk away, they leave and they were a part of our team. Now they become a part of my network. My network is my net worth. And if you're gonna stay in my network, you need to be able to add value to it. So that means I'm going to, when you step out, I'm gonna do everything in my power to help you build. But now you gotta hold your weight too. You gotta go out there, and that just simply means bust your ass and do your part. That don't necessarily mean it's gonna always go your way, but you gotta at least shoot your shot, bro. And so to answer your question, the first thing to do is get your fiscal house in order, and then just start slowly building your brand. We didn't go into details about what the brand is and what it means. So that's, I can't arbitrarily give you a first step to that. But if we're having this conversation, I think you know what the first step is already.
Absolutely. Got it, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, guys. For sure.
No, bro. Congratulations on everything you're doing in advance. I don't know if you need luck. Just man, go to work, yo. You know what it is.
Everybody needs luck.
Man, are you so rich? You could just give us your money. We don't need luck.
It's the wrong
That's right.
It's the wrong week for that.
Matter of fact, Ari, why don't you just give us all grants?
Let me not call out our earlier conversation.
It's 51 people on here. You can afford to give us all an M, and we can end this call now, bro.
I'm just saying, like, when you look at the landscape of life, and yes, like, you make your own luck. I'm a firmest believer that, like, work outpaces talent, work outpaces everything. If you work harder than everybody else, eventually the corner going to turn for you, because the most talented guy in the room might not work the hardest, and like the talent can get trumped. But almost every super successful person you know had some thing happen.
Luck happens when preparation meets opportunity, bro. Correct. I don't know if it's luck. Preparation meets opportunity.
Well, yeah, it's luck happens, right? Because the luck can happen and you ain't ready and nothing happens, right?
Absolutely. Like, absolutely.
A moment is created a lot of the times that people seize, and that is the next level. So when I say luck, I mean putting yourself in the position to handle that when it comes to you. But, you know, you hope you get a little shine, because there are people that do everything right and nothing happens, and there's people that do everything wrong and some shit happens. You know, and that's just life.
Man, and you put yourself in position to give us all one of them M's. So can you do that before Cash App?
I'll send him.
Put our Cash App in the chat.
Yep.
Let us get one of those. Me and Sharif will take two.
Hit the limit or something. I don't know.
We'll take two, though.
We'll take two. Next question is coming from Anansi.
Thank you, guys. Just want to express a little gratitude first. Thank you guys for having this. One thing that COVID did do was create an opportunity for these type of niche learning experiences. So definitely appreciative of that. My question was around financing for a smaller developing brand. What type of hacks or techniques or insight can you offer around gaining some type of financing for a developing brand? I know you mentioned the pre-order, setting up something like that. But what other opportunities or gems can you provide around getting access to capital so that you can sustain yourself or keep going?
I think the first one that I'll get in trouble with saying, but I'll say it anyway, is credit card. There's some savvy ways to get $100,000 limit on a credit card that I think every designer in our industry probably has mastered, and that savviness is probably just increasing their income level on their application, and somehow they get the credit limit, right? I think that's the first one that people go into. Second one is probably happens after they reach max on that credit card and demand. Hopefully, if they're doing it the right way, they can continue to pay their credit card, but the demand of the brand has outpaced their credit card limit or their ability to get it increased. And that's when you go to old school antisocial social club route, where I think their demand at that point at their peak was probably like millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to capture and print that, they were just going out capturing the sales and then printing and shipping. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll now step back and let Dre, Sharifa, Ari, and Hutch talk about factoring, because that's one they probably know more about and or they can speak about better than I can.
Well, before you can get to a factor, I mean, you'd have to come a long way before you get to that. I think the SBA would be the next thing.
So the loans that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I think the SBA, there would be an opportunity there, because by the time you get to the factor, well, there are some boutique factors, and but you have to have orders. So you have to have credit-worthy orders. Usually they have PO financing. I mean, there are some factors that do it at a higher percentage. So if you're going to get into PO financing and things of that nature, it's an expensive way to do. Well, all of it can be expensive to do business when you don't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be looking at what James had mentioned before. The credit card game is real, you know, to get some financing for your business. I mean, you know, that's why they always talk about, you know, maintain your credit. Make sure you have good credit, because that's what you need, especially in this business and in the fashion industry. Just to finance these businesses, unless you have a swell of cash,
you're gonna need that. Yeah. What about, so when I was doing my due diligence and trying to find the answers before asking the question, saw something about startup vendors. Are there any startup vendors as it relates to fashion, or is that what you were talking about when you meant factory?
Oh, wait, so you're talking about, you mean startup vendors like?
Or a line of credit to provide a product.
I mean, there's some vendors that'll provide you a line of credit. I mean, we'll call it similar to a credit card. So you're talking about a vendor that'll give you a small line of credit in order to be able to do business with them? Yeah. Usually a vendor doesn't do that though until you've shown some history with them in order for them to be able to give you credit. And even then, they're not the ones usually issuing you the credit. Somebody's backing that credit. And in many instances, they're not backing the credit themselves.
Okay.
You say your name again for me, man?
The Instagram handle is Anansi. My name is Steven.
Steven. So we're talking about like lines of credit with factories and credit to start a business. Have you made any product or like put the brand out at all?
So the first product is this out here. It's the Corduroy Thinker. It's available on the website, ninthpasture.com. The Instagram is also Ninth Pasture. Yeah, this is the first product. Say it again.
No, I'm saying something today that he'll drop your handle and the name of the brand into the
chat.
So the reason.
So my question to you is this your full-time gig? Is your brand?
No, I actually work in insurance, but this is something I've been trying to get off for a while, and getting to the place where you're talking about confidence and betting on yourself, getting to the place where now it's time to go.
Similar to the conversation that we had with the other dude that wants to flip. You know, you got the ability of free time when you're not at your regular job, and like you get a paycheck. And I would personally want to get my thing off a little bit locally, make sure there was an audience, you know, get my handle up, get some of my friends in it, you know, local is global, build within my community, take a nod from James and start making a presence and kind of get something before you start digging credit card holes and taking lines of credit. You know, you got a job, you make money, you know, you can side hustle until things start to bubble. That's what so many of these people do. Even the designers, half of them are working another gig. One of our guys works another gig, comes home at night, does his own brand, screen prints it himself, ships it out on the weekends. So, you know, you got a lot of room between now and necessarily needing to go or get a line of credit. Am I incorrect or?
No, so the reason why I was asking about the financing was just because of course it is personally financed right now, just to be able to continue to try to produce a product and test various products without there being such a personal burden, which is of course something I factored in now that I'm doing this. But
take a credit card out, it's your personal burden, man. You go get a line of credit, there's interest, it's still your personal burden, man. It's not like it's real hard pressed to get someone like a private investor to invest in something that doesn't yet fully exist. right? Private investors come at the beginning when they see something and they're like, all right, this joint got legs, let me throw something at it. So to me, you got time to like bubble a little
build it up.
Yeah, go get some foundation, pun intended, in your city, in your community, your local audience, and then you can start to build out from that. You know, I wouldn't, personally, you don't got to
Stay
jump
away
off.
from financing right now.
Yeah, no reason to bury yourself until like you making money. You got time to get it out there. You know.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Final question for tonight is coming from Marcellus Frazier.
Hold on, I might want to throw one more in. I got a sneaker on the line. Jay Somerville, he just jumped on. He got industry question. I'm gonna put him on the spot.
All right, we'll get Marcellus and then
one-on-one.
We'll get Marcellus and then we'll roll to Jay.
All right, cool.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone doing? How everyone doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I want to say, first of all, thank you guys for hosting this. And also, thank you everyone for the questions you guys been asking. Because a lot of those questions I didn't even think of. And it's been real insightful for me. So the first thing I want to ask is, like, in terms of consistency, I know consistency is really the most important factor for anything that you do. And sometimes it's very hard to be consistent when you aren't seeing any results. So my question is, what kept you guys consistent? And also, what was that point that you saw yourself go from good to great?
I don't think it's any one. I don't think it's any one moment, because I'm always looking at what I want to do and who's potentially doing it better, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also looking at every way it's being done. So if I'm running into a hurdle, I'm looking at what I'm doing versus what others are doing. And it could be twofold. It could be man's isn't good enough, or it could be the marketplace isn't in the place that I'm in. Sometimes the market just isn't accepting of your idea, not that it's a bad idea, if that makes sense. So it's you making sure you consistently sharpen your point of view, especially if it's very different in a market, because there's nothing wrong with being an outlier. It just means it's going to take longer for people to respond to you. But once they do, they'll usually come in droves. Does that make sense? So for me, I think, I mean, I'm a dude that I listen to my own voice in my own head, and I'm constantly looking at what we're doing and how to make it better, and constantly challenging myself to be better while exploring the world to understand what better looks like. Does that make sense? So because of once you mix all that up, I was always chugging along, and then add in 10 years down the line, or however, 7-8 years down the line, or whatever it was, you start getting a team around you of people who have also a good perspective of what great looks like, and they're great on their own. They begin to add value and help you be able to hone in on what your vision is a little more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because shit,
That's
as me, I would say we're not great now. I would say we're getting there. But you know, I think great is for the fans to say when you retire.
Marcellus, when you say you're consistent, but it hasn't necessarily been successful, is it a product, a business, a combination of?
So I would say it's more of within myself. I also play football. I'm a football player, and I'm very consistent with that. But I haven't always seen the same level of success that I put through shown on the field. And the same thing with fashion. I've been I started getting into fashion about a few years ago, and just within that industry, the same thing. Like there is a lot of hurdles, and I do understand that. But sometimes it just feels like you're being so consistent, and it's like, is this really worth it? And
well, you're saying you're being consistent with your. Oh, I'm sorry, Ari. You were talking.
Marcellus, you go ahead and finish.
Oh, and I was just saying, like, sometimes it feels like I am being consistent, but it doesn't feel like I'm getting anywhere. It doesn't feel like I'm actually elevating.
So sometimes I think like, right, when you have a business plan, a good business plan changes with the times, right? So if I was consistently handling sales or distribution or design one way 10 years ago, and that way was effective, and I was consistently doing it today, I would be irrelevant, right? So part of a plan is evolution. James started with a store called Flavor Factory. Now he sells Saint Laurent.
You picking on Flavor Factory, man. Flavor Factory was
There's
dope.
still Flavor Factory in my phone, G. So to me, it's consistency is one thing. Right? You consistently want to try to be the best and a better version of yourself, right? And challenging yourself constantly is how you get better. But you also have to be nimble and open to change. And my parents taught me that. Like our whole business has changed 2 different times over the last 14 years or 13 years. And that wasn't the business plan, right? But any good business plan or business person is going to evolve based on what the market, their own head, whomever, or their gut is telling them. And like the guys from the Whitaker group are a fantastic example of that. They've completely flipped the whole company, challenged the industry, and you know, now they're restaurateurs and hoteliers and all those things when James just wanted to own a retail store. So that's part of it too. Consistency is super important, but you also got to be aware of we're in a fast-paced business and it changes on a dime like that. So you got to recognize what you're doing and maybe alter it a bit to meet the needs of what you're trying to do.
And now the world is about be to change. Like for me, what happened when I got a team around me, and I realized like, wow, what we're doing is good, right? And we got a point of view. Matter of fact, I'll tell you when it happened. It happened at the idea of I'm a Minier living, because I'm a Minier was working, but to be honest, I was kind of like honest, not fuck luxury at that point, but kind of like not fuck retail, but I was evolving, and design and space was becoming more important to me. And I think at the time I was doing my own house and really like mentally tied into that. And I wanted to add another element to what we were doing with living. And I just
told you had to spend that $3 million before the year was out, or your taxes were going to be crazy, right?
And ignore what Ari said. But yeah, but then I realized, like, what happens if we do something different? Like, what happens if we take this building and instead of doing retail, we do a living experience, and we start showing people like the idea of what our perspective is on space. And it was just the idea, and kind of I said it to Kev and maybe a few other people at the time, and I haphazardly said it to them, and they was like, that would be dope as fuck. So quietly I start going down the path of figuring it out, executing it, and then only when when it opened and everybody came in and seen it was like, oh fuck, you just indicted retail, like you just changed it. And I was like, for real? And then that was like the biggest battery in my back, because since then it's like, oh fuck that. There are no boundaries, right? And then Cav is like this arrogant Taiwanese dude, so he already think he could do whatever anyway, right? Then you got Dave, who thinks we could be fucking the World Health Organization and change the world, and then we all believe it. So we sit in a room and just daydream about everything that we think the world should be, and we create that within the boundaries of retail. Does that make sense? Yeah. And the only thing that stops us is our inability to pay for it. Because if we could pay for other shit, we'd have done some much crazier shit by this point. As we make more money, you'll see us do crazier shit. Does that make sense? And it may or may not correlate back to fashion. It's just going to correlate back to lifestyle in the way that we see it. Does that make sense? Because it's all about our perspective. That's why when I was giving the feedback earlier to someone, the homeboy who was talking about leaving his boutique and creating his own thing, when we were saying be sharp, bet on yourself, and double down on that. Right now, man, you can be as fucking crazy as you want to be because the world is accepting of anything. Insanity is Donald Trump is the fucking president. If somebody fucking died or went to a coma in 1980 and woke up and Donald Trump was president, they will look at the TV and say, what the fuck is happening? Right? Like, this is the world we're in right now. You can truly do what the fuck ever.
We want to do. Imagine what they're going to say when I become president.
How you gonna run without showing your face, dude?
I wanted to say something to you because when I hear you say consistent, to me, I think about drive, right? And staying stimulated, right? So what James was just talking about, how, you know, you got some people that are just naturally driven, right? Nothing's going to stop the drive. But even within those people, whether it's self-stimulation or like you saw the Michael Jordan documentary and Mike always said before the game, oh, this dude won MVP, or he said this, he said that. He was always constantly finding different ways to keep himself even more driven and more stimulated. And what I would say to you is if you are having difficulty sometimes, and maybe it's a book, maybe it's this conversation, maybe it's surrounding yourself with some different energy. Some people travel, whatever it may be, you got to find a way to keep your drive going. And if you need stimulation, find a way to stimulate your mind to keep you focused.
Good, man. Thank you. Thank you. I also have one more question.
Go for it.
This question is for James and Dave.
Yep.
James, I just want to say I've also I started listening. I first listened to your podcast on Business of Hype, and that's actually how I came into contact about you. And I do want to say, like, real talk, you guys really are changing the world, because I live in Atlanta, and I've just seen how social status and Manir have completely changed the culture here in terms of fashion and how people are more accepting of fashion and just being different to that. And I just feel like as a black man, seeing a black man at the highest level of business, which is a predominantly white area, I feel like it's important for me to be able to work under a man like that and be able to see how businesses ran, because it's not too many people like us. So I also wanted to ask, could you also send me that cheat sheet for the interviews? Because I also applied for a job at Social Status for the sales associate position. So I also wanted to know if I could get that cheat sheet as well.
First, thank you very much. What you said means much more than what you would ever imagine. And the only thing that I can tell you right now is we got so much more to do. And thank you for investing your time and energy into helping uplift what we do and helping change the Atlanta community. Dave Patterson, are you still here?
Yep. And hey, Marcel, it's good to meet you. I'm sending you a message right now with my contact, so you can reach out to me about that employment question.
Yeah, no, bro. I appreciate the energy. I appreciate the preparation. I appreciate the investment in your time. And we have a responsibility. I first have a responsibility coming from where I come from, and I've said all the time, and we got to pay it forward. And the people who come up younger than me shouldn't have to make the same mistakes that I made, which is why everybody on the panel commits their time, because they feel exactly the same way. They've all had to pretty much build their careers brick by brick. And we just really appreciate you investing your time.
Man, I appreciate y'all more than I could ever say.
I'm looking forward to hopefully working with you, and if nothing else, seeing you in Atlanta when we can start moving around post-COVID.
Definitely.
All right, thank you, bro. Dave, make sure y'all connect, please.
Yeah, for sure. I already know.
All right, Mr. Somerville, to round out tonight.
Yeah, we actually got one more, and it's a really good question. After we can go Jay, and then we got to go with one more question after Jay, and then we'll
all right, Jay, you ain't rounding up the night.
All right, cool. What's going on?
What's good with you, bro?
Not much, man. How you guys doing?
Jay, my apologies for putting you on the spot, right? But we have all these. Me and Jay got acquainted when he was with Nike through mutual friends in the footwear circle. We then, weirdly enough, were both in Charlotte in the airport about to board a plane to go to Portland. And we caught up a little bit before, and we've stayed in touch since. Jay's been hit me on the side and was like, y'all want to catch up? And I said, well, I think what you want to talk about is good to talk about on the platform. Jay, the benefit of this conversation is you get the wisdom of 7 other people who have visibility into our industry, what we do, and can give you a lot. You can get a lot of different advice from a lot of different vantage points from people who are as sharp or sharper than me, if that makes sense.
Right. No, absolutely. I appreciate that. That makes complete sense.
Shoot, what you got for me, bro? What's up with you?
Oh man, not much, man. I was honestly just checking in with you. You know, my girlfriend and I, we launched our own company back in March, a creative company, JL Creative. So, you know, we're doing graphic design, apparel production, you know, merchandise strategies, go-to-market strategies, all those things. And so, you know, honestly for us, you know, it's about me just making sure we're aligning ourselves with the right people, developing those right partnerships and those right relationships.
So let's drop all your information, because there's been three or four people on the call today who were looking for help with strategy, help with design, help with so if nothing else, this is a good way to get some good conversations going. Even if it doesn't connect the business, it'll connect like minds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'll definitely drop that information. And yeah, I mean, we're Portland based, still out here on the West Coast. And, you know, for me, you know, like James said, I met him in the airport after I left Nike. I was actually coming from an interview with one of my brothers that's also on the call with Hibbett Sports City Gear. And, you know, we connected in the airport, and, you know, we just kept in contact ever since. And for me, it's one of those things where, you know, I've been in corporate America retail for about 10 years now. And, you know, now my girlfriend and I are looking into kind of segueing into doing our own thing. And, you know, it's been successful thus far. And so, you know, now, like I said, we're just developing those right partnerships, those right relationships in order for, you know, us to really be successful in this space. So we'd love to connect with anybody who, you know, is interested, you know, has some resources that they're in need of, you know, hit us up.
No, 100%. What's your Instagram? I'm gonna put it in the chat right now.
Oh, we don't. All right. So to be fair, we don't have a business Instagram or anything like that yet. But you can send people to our website though, for sure. What's your website? JL. So it's J, like the letter J.
Yeah.
L, and then creative.work. So jlcreative.work. So you can go on our website. You can see some of the work we worked on previously. You know, some of the cool projects we worked on as of like very recently was just we worked on actual City Girls merch for their album launch that happened about a month or 2 ago. So that was really fun. And you can see some more of the cool things that we've worked on as well. And then, I mean, if you guys want to just reach out, we can talk about some of the other projects that we're working on that, you know, we can't necessarily post on our website just now. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from some people.
No, and Jay, we can still get a catch up in tomorrow.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that invited you on the platform, let people feel your energy.
I appreciate that, man.
It's always contagious, and it's good talking to you too, bro.
Okay, awesome. All right.
All right, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
All right, for real, the last question of the night is from Travis Nolan, and I think it's gonna be a good one.
Hello?
Yep.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
My question is for James. I just want to know, like, what's your advice for like going to worker to owner? Right now, I'm still a worker, but like since I was like probably like 17, I've always wanted to be an owner. I've always wanted to have my own businesses. I've always wanted to have my own. And like right now, I'm just like I work, and like now I'm me and like it's just not me on the wavelengths. Like my friends back home, I just moved to Portland. So it's funny that he talked about like living in Portland. I just moved to Portland and I live here and I like it here, but I just feel like there's not nothing for like my people here. You know what I mean? And I feel like I was brought here, and it's like kind of crazy because like I was brought here, and you know what I mean? I like it here, I love it here, I just feel like it's a space for Black people here, but it's not really like acquired yet. And I know like I can't just jump out and buy a storefront. You know what I mean? Finance a storefront and just like open a storefront because I don't have like, you know, any vendors or anything like that. You know what I mean? So just like recently I just been like cultivating ideas on like logos to get a t-shirt, to get my name out there, to eventually, you know what I mean? Just like branch myself out and build myself into a community I can get a space so I can go to companies and say like, this is what I got, this is what I got going on, this is what I want to do.
So is your question about
like just go ahead, actually, I'm sorry.
Okay, so when you say you're going to always be a worker at a level when you work for yourself because you're going to always have to plug in when you need to plug in, right? Technically, I serve a role in my company. So because I serve a role in my company, I'm still technically employed by the Whitaker Group, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Whitaker Group also rolls up under a series of numerous companies that I have, if that makes sense, which rolls under my personal tax return is the cleanest way to say it. Or take that fucking smirk off your face.
Sorry, man. I'm gonna turn my video off.
So with that said is this. Being a worker, take fashion out of it, right?
Doing the work isn't the issue. It's like it's like you work for a brand. So I work for Zoomies, right?
Yep.
And instead of like working for Zoomies, I'm not gonna be backed by the Zoomies brand. I'm gonna be backed by myself.
Yeah.
You know?
So
like you gotta take that risk and that bet on yourself. But it's just like I'm just trying to get to a point where like it's like hard to do that. You know what I mean? Like when you don't have anything, it feels like a little bit. But I got myself. And I'm used to being a humble person. You know what I mean? And I've always had the fire to want more. But I've always known just to like, you know what I mean? Like just because you want more don't mean flaunt you want more. You know what I mean? If you want the blessing, you keep the blessing to yourself until the blessing's shown, type of thing.
You also got to be willing to give up to get, right?
Exactly. And I've never been willing to give up at all.
I mean, give up things, possessions, money, like.
And it's funny. I sold my Jordan just so they get this MacBook I'm talking to you on, so I can start myself.
So you already there. I'll just tell you, like, when I jumped off, I was 28. I was in a really nice place.
I'm 28 right now, and I'm tired of working for somebody else.
Yo, I was 28. I feel like, all right, I'm gonna work here. I'll be a VP of sales one day. Whatever. 28, I got rid of my place. I moved into like the shittiest thing I'd ever lived in my life, and like downgraded my entire lifestyle to be able to sustain while I knew the business wasn't going to be paying me. And it just comes down to personal sacrifice. And like, if you think it's going to take a year, it's going to take 3. If you think it's going to take 3, it's going to take 6. And I personally, I got to credit my partners because like Dre, Daniel, Hutch, they put a battery in my back, and like that made me take the leap. But like, it really comes down to personal sacrifice. You got to be willing to give up a check that you know is coming.
Or create a new check.
Mm-hmm. But there's some discomfort in the interim. Is my
point. And that's like the thing. Like I don't necessarily want to sell T-shirts. You know what I mean? I appreciate the culture. I appreciate hip hop. I appreciate fashion. I appreciate sports. And I feel like I could bring like a certain space to a city that I feel like don't.
First, you got to figure out what you want to do. I will say, I would imagine everyone up here that left a gig or decided to change lanes, we knew we were starting a showroom and we were going to do X, Y, and Z. James knew he was opening a store. Sharifa knew she was building a trade show and then a consumer-facing show. So it starts there, right? You got to know what you want to do.
I know what I want. I'm just trying to figure out the best, and it's just like I'm trying to figure out the best way to get to what I want. I know what I want. And the dream isn't what the problem is. It's just like I'm just trying to get to my dream. If you understand what I'm saying, like
I do, and like what I can tell you,
it's part of me is like my dream seems like it's too big for my ambition. You know, my ambition is too big for myself.
No, it's not, bro.
No.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
no.
I want the world, and it's just like it's hard. You know, it seems like I always fight against myself by telling myself like you gotta relax because you can't have the world right now.
So let me tell you a quick story.
Just give him the Denzel quote: "A dream without a plan is a wish."
That one.
It is.
And the other thing I was going to say is I was just going to tell you my plan. James Whitner Inc. was founded when I sat in my high school counselor's office and told her, when she asked me what I wanted to be, I said, not broke. Whatever that meant, right? So I went on a journey of just understanding how to obtain wealth. 3 ways to obtain wealth: through real estate, building businesses, and investing. Those are the 3 ways. The only way I knew to take care of myself at the time, post-felony, was through real estate first. I acquired enough real estate to be able to pay a residual income, to be able to take care of myself, which gave me the ability to be able to dream, because that was my net. My real estate would catch me every month because that residual income paid my bills and bought the time for me to build the Whitaker Group. Does that make sense?
That makes
sense. As I built the Whitaker Group, I continued to invest into more real estate because that provided more residual income and provided a bigger and bigger net. So as you start seeing me take these big ass swings, the reason I'm comfortable taking a big swing is because underneath me is a big net.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because as I bet on me, I constantly invest back into me. Does that make sense? So swing big, invest big, but I'm pay yourself first, investing back into yourself, which if you fall, you want to land on pillows. You don't want to land on cement and bust your head. Does that make sense? So the first thing you got to do is understand, how do you give yourself room to get off the ground? Like I said to the young man earlier, you got to make sure your foundation is covered first. For some people, that's their family. For others, that's just being able to feed yourself and put a roof over your head. So cover that foundation first, because that's the first thing you're going to need to be able to do to not be a worker. Does that make sense? Because when that foundation is covered, then you have the ability to work on your own and have the room to take risk and potentially fail, but not fall hard and be able to get up and go again. Does that make sense?
It's just like it's like we're trained to be workers, you know what I mean, to quell our ambitions for other things. And that's how I feel like I've been trained, and my mindset has been, and it's just been like I've been put forward like, you always work, you always work, you always work, you always work. But it's just like my mind and my spirit just wants, I don't want to just work every day, you know what I mean? I want to work every day, but I want my work to mean something to me. I want my work to mean something to other people. I want, you know what I mean? Like, I want my work to matter, and it just feels like the work don't matter, and I'm tired of it, and I'm sick of it, and it's bullshit, to be quite frankly honest. Because
so you invest your time in starting to unlearn that mindset, bro. A lot of this is just a mindset shift, and like you spend time putting things into yourself that give you that owner's mentality, that give you that the mentality to push yourself forward. Whereas podcasts or books, it was a good number of books that was listed on this call today. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you wrote them all down. And to Ari's point about being prepared for that transition, like, and I'm always thinking about also too, how do you leverage where you're at to get to where you're going? So part of it is, even in the frustration, are you still putting in that 100% effort, because you don't know what, as a person who also came from that Zoomies network, like, are you going 100K and meeting all these other people who are doing things that may be in this industry, but may have footprints in other industries to be able to connect you to wherever your dream is, you know what I'm saying? And being able to stay consistent and fight through the frustration puts you in, and being good at what you do, whether it's work that you want to do or not, can put you in a position to get to where you want to go as well. But that ownership mentality, whether you're in the position of what you feel is a worker, or whether you feel like you're in a position of an owner, the mentality of the owner should be the same no matter what position you're in, because it ain't gonna magically switch by the time you become an owner. You know what I'm saying? You could file an LLC tomorrow. That don't necessarily mean you're gonna have the mindset of an owner. So you got to be proficient and putting your head down and figuring out, okay, how can I look at my situation and put myself in the best situation to succeed? And James is giving you some tactile points. Ari is giving you some tactile points, but eventually you're gonna have to make that owner mindset shift while you're in a worker's position to be able to get you to the next level. And that's ultimately what it is. At some point, you have to take that frustration and you have to turn that into energy and focus it on whatever it is that your goal is, and that's what's going to get you to the next level. Like I'm somebody who left corporate America and left something very comfortable to go to Zoomies and be a sales associate to, you know, get myself closer to the position that I wanted to be in. And that came with the mindset of not necessarily being an owner in business, but being an owner of my life. And once you begin to own your life, you'll start to see those changes moving you closer to the goals that you set for yourself.
Does that all make sense to you, bro? And listen, I think something else that was said earlier, and I'm going to repeat it again. Youth is your friend, man. You'd rather fail in your 20s than fail in your 30s. The older you get, the harder those falls are. So you want to focus and make the shifts now, because it's easier to plant, pivot, and fail now. It's never impossible, but it's much easier the younger you are.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
No doubt.
And with that said, this is a wrap. I can tell y'all next episode, we're going to be talking about how to get access to capital through banks. I've invited my accountant on, Adam Boatsman. We're going to be talking about how to access capital. Different kind of conversation through someone who does it professionally every day. We'll start pushing that conversation on social, and we'll start locking in the conversation a little bit and focusing on one main topic. And next week, that's going to be how to get access to capital.